Okay, let's go. Hello, everyone. Hello. Welcome to the OSWAs. Welcome to the first ever, the inaugural first OSWAs ceremony. And we want to call it a ceremony because we are actually celebrating something tonight. So good to see so many of you here in support. I'll apologise in advance for the fact that it's not like a VPub. You normally see me in a VPub environment and I'd be able to interact with the chat. But we need to stay quite focused tonight because there's a lot to get through. These awards have come about from the brainchild of Ralfy Mitchell. Him and I got together about 6 or 8 months ago, and we came up with this structure, this idea to celebrate whiskey in a slightly different way. This isn't the only whiskey awards, and certainly it's not in any way meant to replace or belittle or change the way that whiskey awards have been running up till now, but it is intended to bring a new angle to it. And that's one that's very much focused on the community that we live and enjoy our whiskey in. We often find that where we share our whiskey in YouTube, it's a bi-directional relationship. So the community knows much, much more than the people sharing the content. So these OSWA awards are designed to help us leverage that pool of knowledge and share it with everybody, whoever is interested. It works in this way. We get together as YouTube creator channels. 24 channels got together, and we were asked to put our nominations in for 8 separate categories. Now, you asked 24 channels for 24 nominations for 8 categories. You're going to get 24 different answers. So we compiled those nominations and we made a poll. And that poll was then put together and sent back out to the channels where they could select their top 3, but they were not permitted to select their own nomination. That organically raised and gave us a top 6, automatically, a top 6 nominations for each of the 8 categories. On the 23rd of September, Ralph and I got together and we announced to everybody what the top 6 nominations were. And that was when the second part of this came in, when we asked the public, when we asked the whiskey community out there for their opinion. Did we get it right? They were asked to vote, not based on having tried all the whiskies, not based on sitting down with 6 blind samples or anything, but they were asked to vote based on how they purchase whiskey. That is there a whiskey here that you consider of high quality? Is it widely available to you at a good price? Quality, availability, and price. And these 3 elements gave us a value proposition. So if it was something that they would buy again and put back on their shelf, if it was something they would recommend to a friend or buy as a gift to a friend, then it was eligible for their vote. However, the third dynamic of this award structure is to also give the community a voice. And we've been able to do that through a wildcard element, through the People's Choice. Now, there's no award for the People's Choice. The winners for the winners of the nominations in the category will be announced tonight. But the People's Choice is kind of holding up a mirror to tell everybody not what's successful in terms of sales. The industry know how much they're selling. What this will do is hold up how much is being enjoyed. So we'll have a top 10 chart, 10 through 1, and we will share that with you tonight, exactly how you guys are enjoying your whiskey and what kind of whiskies you are enjoying. It's going to be fascinating. There is so much to share with you. Anyway, without further ado, let me reach out to my co-host and sidekick, co-creator for this platform tonight. He's coming at us from a storm somewhere in the Irish Sea, Ralfy Mitchell from the Bothy. Hello, my friend. Good to see you.
Hello, malt mates. Yeah, it's quite stormy. It's definitely the Irish Sea, and that's where I'm coming from, Roy. And all good. Yes, this is very exciting, by the way. Nothing like this has ever happened before. We are breaking new ground on behalf of all the malt mates who have supported the OSWAs by voting through our official website, oswa.co.uk. Very memorable name because we chose a memorable title to start with. And this is the first time we're doing it. And people are very curious to see what the results are. There's going to be some surprises, by the way.
For everything that we've discovered in this thing that's predictable, Ralfy, something else has given us a big surprise. Am I right?
That's correct, yes.
We're actually sitting back and scratching our own chins here thinking, wow. But as you process the thoughts, and I hope that as everyone gets to read these results tonight and start to process them, they'll be able to see the same thing. After considering it a wee while and contemplating it, it starts to make a wee bit of sense. Now, you're leaning on something there. I think everybody probably wants to know, there's no crystal decanters, there's no seats at a black tie event, unfortunately, for this type of thing. What do the winners, what do they receive?
Right. I've got to lift up this package opened. And before I go any further, hang about, let's get this into focus. There we go. The other way, that's us. Now, excuse me a second. I'm going to remove my glass of whiskey from behind it because I don't want it getting it knocked over. So the recipients are not receiving, as you mentioned, Roy, they're not receiving any sort of glass trophy. There's no black tie occasion. This is not what the OSWAs are about. They're going to receive a certificate, and I shall now show you this certificate. This is a real certificate, so I'm going to have to cover bits of it so as not to give anything away. But yes. It's basically a white box, and inside it says, please recycle the plastic wrap to help our planet. Thanks. So we're a very contemporary award scheme. And naturally, we do have to use bubble wrap at the moment because the contents of this package are really quite precious. And when the recipient opens it, the first thing they will see is this delightful, get the angle right now, and it's a ploughed field. Because
it looks like a field ready.
Absolutely.
To sow new seeds.
Yes, and this is it. And of course, anybody involved in the whiskey industry is going to get this immediately. And once you get past that, there's a message in the back, by the way, and it basically says, congratulations to you, the team at Beep, Beep, Beep. This shows that what you do is appreciated by the online community. Regards, Roy and Ralfy. There you go. And then once we get through there's a cardboard layer and a bit more bubble wrap. And then you reach the certificate. Now, the certificate is padded with 4 little retainers and a covering letter on top of it, which I'm very, very quickly going to pull out the way so that nobody can see who's the recipient is. I should add, by the way, all the packages, all the award winners have had their packages sent out to them, and all those who are appearing on the OSWAs this evening have actually received them. We checked that. I want to add that some big companies have received awards tonight, and they've been well earned. And when I reached out to their PR department, what do you think the response was, Roy?
Well, I think it'll tell a tale throughout tonight. There's lots of messages and takeaways from this. It's very interesting. And I think you touch on one of them for sure. Absolutely.
So moving on.
Are you going to be able to reveal that, Ralfy, without revealing who the recipient of that one is?
What we've done with
I think it's a modest thing we're sending out here. But I think that literally the reason Ralfy's been so careful with that is there were only 8 printed. Oh, well done. Good. Nobody
Nice
can
that.
see that. Nobody can zoom in on that. Fantastic.
I'll straighten it up now. There we go.
And down at the bottom, we have Ralfy's own gold seal that he's embossed by hand himself. On the right-hand side, we've got a little unique QR code that anybody can scan. Wherever this is going to be hung, the Distillery Visitor Centre toilets, wherever it's going to be, people can pull out their phone and scan that wee QR code, and it takes them to the page and confirms them as an OSWA winner. So
just to confirm, Roy,
yes,
for clarity, that although we never got a response from the PR departments of some big companies, we have sent the certificates to people who actually make the whiskey or blend the whiskey, or people are involved in the production process. So those who receive it will genuinely appreciate it. I know they will.
I think so too. I tend to find the people that make the whiskey are always super passionate about what they make. Absolutely. Fantastic, Ralfy. I think what's a good thing to do to cover is to share with people who has actually been involved here, right?
Yes.
Throughout the course of the stream tonight, you'll be able to get in touch with, and you'll see credits running for all the contributing channels that were involved. But I think it's more important tonight, as we go through the ceremony, is to share with everybody who actually voted and what this thing is all about. So if we talk about this being almost like a 3-tier award system, we've got the YouTube channels coming together with their nominations in the 8 categories. That's the first tier, job done. We've taken our place. We've now handed it over to the public. And what we're going to celebrate tonight is that second tier, that main tier, the idea of the winners for those categories. But almost as a little icing on the cake, almost like a little garnish, is this wildcard thing, which Ralfy and I have had a real fun with. We've had really interesting results to process here. Lots and lots of amazing feedback from all of you, and we want to share that with you tonight. But just let me thank everybody who's sending in, contributing super chats for Ralfy and I. Let me tell you, with that in mind, that all of this has been funded by the community, either through here on YouTube, but more likely through Ralfy and I's Patreon channels. No whiskey has been donated here, no fees have been paid, no sponsorships or partnerships. This is all grassroots, and it's all independently funded. So thanks to everybody. Thanks to Eric Cunliffe. Thanks to Anthony Dunn. Well, everybody that I'm going to miss tonight. I will struggle to keep up with all of Bill Menteith. I will struggle to keep up with all of your donations. Gregor, time for a dram. Thank you all so much. Ralfy, let's share exactly who's been involved in this process, shall we?
Yes.
So in order to celebrate the best in whiskey, we're talking about our community. And it's not just a digital community that's online. It's not just inside YouTube. Specifically, it's called the Online Scotch Whisky Awards because it's a Scotch whisky loving community. So there should be other grassroots awards that can grow, such as Japanese, Irish, Canadian. Bourbon is ripe for it. It would be fantastic to see the same thing grow within their communities, where people specialize in passion in their own spirit category. But here, we can answer to you tonight who voted in this. Because the first question that people were asked once they registered to vote through the OSWA website was to identify themselves. 99.5% of 3,140 unique registrants self-referred as Scotch lovers, with only 0.5% somebody who self-identified as somebody who's not a Scotch lover. So I think that you can hardly even see that tiny little sliver of green that exists there. So you can see that 99.5% either identified as Scotch promiscuous, that is somebody who focuses on Scotch, but they've always got an eye on other whiskies, other quality spirits outside of Scotch, but Scotch is where they spend most of their time and money. There were also 21.4% of the vote were people that they considered themselves promiscuous generally, that is, they loved Scotch, but they were quite happy to spend their money elsewhere outside of Scotch, bourbon, rye, Canadian, Japanese, whatever it may be. And we also had 18.4% of our registrants considered themselves purely Scotch. They rarely deviated from drinking Scotch whisky. So we can see here that the votes cast are from a knowledgeable base of invested and passionate people. And I think that in itself is a good place to start. Here's a number for you: 3,140 unique registrants casting over 19,000 individual votes. And that's what Ralfy and I will be going through and sharing with you tonight. Ralfy, we're almost running to time. Can I go ahead and bring in our first? Let's just get it started, shall we? Shall we talk about the first category?
Go for it, Roy. Let's make it happen.
Listen, buddy, good luck. Good luck.
Hey, it's Jeremy from Super Social Club. Wanted to give a huge thanks to Roy and Ralph for setting up the Online Scotch Whisky Awards, and thanks for everyone who voted. I'm sure it's going to be the huge success we all assume it will be. Thanks so much, everyone. Cheers.
Hi everyone, I'm Moa, aka Swedish Whisky Girl, and I just want to say a massive thank you to everyone who's taken part and voted. I can't wait to find out the results.
Hello my friends, I would just like to wish good luck to Ralfy, Roy, all the distillers and producers for this year's inaugural Online Scotch Whisky Awards. I was very honoured to be asked to be a contributor, and I'd like to thank you all for taking time to post your votes. Hope to see you there. Cheers.
So here we have it. The first category for the 2021 OSWA inaugural Whisky Awards is entry-level Scotch whisky. Now, a lot of people were a wee bit confused by what we meant by entry-level, but let me say it's to do with what you, as a community, perceive as entry-level. This is whiskies that you're not going to be anxious about replacing because they're good value, they're at a good price. Entry-level in terms of the first or within the first few releases within a company's or a producer's core range, or maybe the type of whiskey that you would be willing to sit somebody down with who you're trying to encourage to get into whiskey and sit with them. But again, it had to be something of quality, something that's widely available, and something that is available at a good price. I'm going to reach out to our first announcer, somebody that's got her first red envelope in hands. And I've reached out to somebody who's located in Scotland, but not originally from Scotland. She shares her whiskey with us through the channel known as Swedish Whisky Girl. It's Moa Nielsen. And Moa recently was recognised in the Scottish region of the Icons of Whisky Award for Communicator of the Year. And I was very, very chuffed for her. Moa, welcome in. So good to see you. How are you?
I'm so well. It's lovely to be here. How are you?
I'm very well. Are you as excited as me?
Absolutely. I got a little bit nervous when Ralfy was showing the certificates. I can't lie, but I'm so excited to find out.
Have you been tempted to pop open an envelope or have a wee peek inside?
Yeah, quite tempted, but I haven't done it yet. I have it in hand and it's all sealed.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Listen, Moa, congratulations on your Icons Award. We were all very, very chuffed for your efforts to be recognised as well. And we wish you all the very best for the future too. Thanks for joining us here. And anytime you're ready, Moa, put us out our misery. Let us know what's the nominations for the entry-level Scotch whisky category.
Of course. So the nominations for the 2021 Online Scotch Whisky Awards in the category of Best Entry-Level Single Malt are as follows: Ardbeg 10-year-old, Arran 10-year-old, Bunnahabhain 12 years old, Deanston 12-year-old, Glencairn 10-year-old, or Highland Park 12-year-old. Are we ready to find out?
Yes, we would love to find out. Who's our winner?
And the winner is Arran 10-year-old. Congratulations.
Fantastic, fantastic. We have our first winner from a distillery that's only 26 years old. Probably the oldest of the new distilleries, we could say. Arran 10. For me, I have to be honest, Moa, I am not surprised.
I can't say I am either.
Are you surprised? No?
No, not at all. I know how many people adore this, and I often hear from the community that this is a distillery that a lot of people turn to for quality, and they know that when something comes out or if they want to turn to something reliable, I know a lot of people turn to Arran. And I've seen it in the comments this evening as well.
I think their natural presentation, the way they've gone about their business, their whiskey getting better and better as time has gone on. It means that, like you've just mentioned, I think, it's one of these whiskies that you don't need to have tried before you buy. You're happy just to pick it up and trust that you're going to get a great whiskey experience. I think it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out in the People's Choice as well. I'm going to share that in a wee minute. But Moa, let me raise a wee glass to you and say thank you for your trust. Thank you for being part of this thing. Thanks for your nominations and your support. And thanks for taking time out of your Saturday evening to come and share this with us tonight. Moa, thank you very, very much. Cheers to you.
Thanks for having me.
Wow. So there we have it. Our winner is Aaron 10. Let's bring in my sidekick, Ralfy. Ralfy, I don't think you're surprised either. I heard there was a wee man in Irish Sea recently nominated an Aaron as his Whiskey of the Year. Could that be right?
Yes, absolutely. Cue the sidekick. Here I am. Again, like Moa, I'm really not surprised at Aaron doing so well. I can remember, as you said yourself, Roy, Aaron is one of the older of the younger contemporary distilleries. It's been on the go for 26 years. And I remember about 20 years ago when I first tasted Isle of Arran at the Ayr Whisky Show. And I thought, I'm really not sure about these cask finishes. It was in fact a cognac cask finish, and it just didn't work for me. But the more I inquired about it, the more I discovered that the people behind Arran have the experience and were putting a thorough investment into the distillery. And here you see a distillery capturing the zeitgeist of the moment as people grasp, embrace, and invest in quality. And quality ultimately is smell and taste. And that's what Arran have invested in. They present it well. I can't think at the moment of a bad bottle of Arran. Can you?
Absolutely, I agree with you. Like I said, I'm happy just to go in and pick up a bottle off the shelf without even having tried it. I'm enjoying everything that comes out from Arran, and I think it's only going to get better as time goes ahead. Let's share the breakdown of the vote for this category. There were 6 nominations up. Let's see how Arran 10 fared against its competition, shall we?
Yes.
28% of 3,062 votes cast. 2.5% no vote. Now, why is there no vote in there? It's very, very high engagement here. Only 2.5% of the people felt that they weren't well versed enough to make a vote here, so they were permitted to skip and move on. That means that the people who did vote, we have a much higher integrity, a much better quality of voting. And 28% of the votes cast voted for Arran 10, which means that in 6th place, we have Highland Park 12-year-old. In 5th, we have Glencadam 10-year-old. Another rising star, I think, there. Deanston 12. Deanston 12 is not a secret anymore. People are really, really loving it. And look at this, running Arran 10 very close in 2nd place. Sorry, in third place, I should say first. I'm forgetting 3rd place. The Guardian, or the New Guardian, as I see it, of Islay, of the Kildalton south coast of Islay, is Ardbeg 10, a fully natural 46% ABV whiskey. Some people complain about the price of that for a 10-year-old, but it's 10-year-old Islay single malt in the UK for £45 or less. It's difficult to ask for more than that. But the one that's run Arran 10-year-old very close in 2nd place is Bunnahabhain 12.
Yeah.
Now, we're starting to see a story building here of Renaissance. Deanston 12 and Bunnahabhain 12 is certainly about Renaissance. Arran is a part of the Renaissance of Scotch whisky being a new distillery. Ardbeg was brought back to life in 2000. Glencadam is finding its feet again. You can see these whiskies being embraced and celebrated based on that. That's my belief. Yeah. Very close 2nd place for Bunnahabhain 12.
Just to add to that, Roy, 5 of the 6 nominations are integrity bottlings, unchill filtered, natural colour, and no particularly disingenuous flannel in the presentation. There's something I'd just like to briefly address here, Roy, and that is that there are many in the whisky community who would not regard these whiskies as entry-level malts. And they're absolutely right. You can go into a supermarket and you will see a shelf full of cheaper single malt whiskies. Most of them non-age statement, most of them 40%, generally chill filtered. The way the community has interpreted this category is the best entry level quality single malts.
Exactly, and it's come from the Scotch whisky enthusiasts online. We are putting forward things that we would engage with and we would recommend. Wouldn't it be nice if we had somebody from Arran to pop up and give us their feedback? I'll ask for a thumbs up from our representative from that wee island in the west coast of Scotland if he's in good shape to come in. Congratulations, Andy Bell. Well done, sir. Well done. How are you feeling about that?
Tell you what, I was, happy to hear that none of yourself or Moa were surprised about that, but I certainly was. It's a real thrill, and I have to say how delighted I am that we've won this particular category, because I think what Ralfy was saying is very true. What entry-level whiskies are, I suppose, because of the price point, are whiskies which people are more than willing to open up to share, and I suppose in the case of the ones that we have here as fellow nominees, are more than likely to enjoy. So to be in amongst those is great, but with those three sort of facets in mind, those are the three principles that we hold most dearly when we make whiskey at Arran. So we want people to open the stuff, share it, and of course enjoy it. So if anything else, this beautiful award is pure vindication for the way that we kind of go about our day at Arran, and the 10-year-old being an entry-level whiskey, I think it's a great summation of what the purpose it serves for our brand, because Arran 10 is the best entry into the whiskey of Lochranza in all its many guises. I've said it for years, and I thoroughly believe that if you wrap your head around this of our favourite little bottling, if you wrap your head around this, you're going to get so much more from the rest of our drams. So I'm thrilled that this is won the entry level single malt. And I have to say before I end that, I must thank everybody who's voted, and everybody, I guess, in the case of this award, who's included us in this category on behalf of myself, all the rest of the guys and girls behind the scenes at Arran, and those who put the hard yards in making the whiskey. So I really thank you so much. It's an honour to be included in the category, and a real thrill to win it. So Slàinte mhath, and I have double parked myself with the appropriate liquids. I've got my celebration champers here, and I've got a dram of the 10.
Good for you.
So,
a dram for comfort and champagne for celebration. Fantastic, Andy. Listen, I think it's very, very well deserved. It's Ralfy's Whiskey of the Year. He's already said much about the products that are coming out, including that wonderful 10-year-old. And I love the way you summarised it there, talking about, because it's out there at that price point, it gives people the ability to open it and share it and not have the anxiety of it being a particularly precious or expensive whiskey. Are the stocks strong for the future, Andy? Are we in good shape?
Well, the popularity of the 10-year-old in recent times has given us a pause to revise the stock situation, but I'm happy to report that there are more than enough stocks to supply the demand that we see for the 10-year-old for the foreseeable. We don't have to worry about that, so you shouldn't have a shortage, I wouldn't think.
That's good news. That's good news, buddy. Yeah. Listen, I'm going to raise this glass to you, the team, to everybody over there at Arran, for everybody involved, for bringing together not just a fantastic 10-year-old, but fantastic whiskey that we all are super passionate about. Well done, Arran. Well done, Andy. Cheers.
Congratulations.
Cheers. Thank you all.
I hope to see you very, very soon, Andy. You take the very best of care, my friend. Congrats. Wonderful stuff, Ralfy. Let's lift the hood on this a wee bit more, shall we? Let's turn the mirror up on the community here. Let's share with people what they were putting forward for their entry-level single malt. So there's not an award here. There's a top 10 chart. There's no point in generating all that data that you contributed if we're not going to share it with you. So these are the top 10 entry-level single malts as put forward by the Scotch loving community online. This is interesting stuff. I hope you enjoy this. I may need to get rid of that strap so that you can see this properly. In 10th place, we've got a Diageo product presented at 46% and loved, dearly loved by so many, the Clynelish 14. In 9th place, we've got the Deanston 12. I mentioned it briefly there. One of these, once upon a time a secret, no longer a secret. 46.3%, natural presentation, and just doing so well on the back of that. In 8th place, when we talk about Renaissance, here's another one, Glenallachie. Once a pedestrian distillery making pedestrian whiskey for blend filler, Billy Walker steps in and turns absolutely everything into things that we want to sit back and enjoy. And this is the 12-year-old in a well-deserved place voted for by the public. 7th place, Ardbeg 10 was already in the nominations there. I've talked about it already. So that's you, the public, stepping up and saying, yes, that deserved to be in the nominations. Ardbeg takes 7th place. 6th place, look at this. A peated whiskey, it's malted. The malt comes from Islay, but the whiskey is made on Tobermory. If we talk about Renaissance, Ralfy and I joked recently in a private discussion that Tobermory was once an ugly duckling distillery. Well, now it's a very handsome swan. The 12-year-old is fantastic, and this Leitchik is often put at the top of the Peatheads charts. It's very well loved and deserves to be here and mentioned. Number 5. How could we have this without having a Campbelltown whiskey in here? We've got Springbank 10-year-old. I guess that the only reason, Ralfy, this hasn't gone any higher is because probably it's suffering because of its success, and it deserves its success. It's suffering from availability and allocation issues.
Yes.
In 4th place, we've got another Western malt here, Talisker 10. This has been people's favourite whiskey for sometimes decades. It's still doing fantastic stuff. In common with its sibling from Diageo, the Clynelish 14, this is presented at a higher ABV, and I think that's why people engage with it. It would be wonderful to see this naturally presented, unchill filtered, with it written on the bottle, natural colour with it written on the bottle, the same as the Clynelish, but we might need to wait some time for that to happen, unfortunately. Still, it remains a fantastic proposition. Number 3, Bunnahabhain 12, the runner-up in the category voting. But you can see this has been backed up by the people's vote. Number 2, also backed up by the people's vote. Arran 10, by a considerable margin this time, makes the number 2 spot. So what's been forgotten? What did the YouTube channels forget? What did we not mention? What didn't make it to the nominations, but it's made it to this number 1 spot? Again, I don't think it's going to be a surprise to a lot of people. Glengyle's Kilkerran 12. An absolutely fantastic whiskey that I suspect would have made it into the nominations if it wasn't suffering from availability right now. And again, it's suffering from those availability issues because of its success. Sorry, if things sell out and we can't get them anymore, that doesn't mean we don't celebrate them, because we need other people to step into that wake, that vacuum, and follow the same model and bring us natural product. Fascinating stuff, Ralfy. Absolutely fascinating, right?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a little 80 at the end of the Kilkerran. And
yes,
just to explain that, right? The 80 is the actual number of votes. Now, because this is a completely open vote, everybody who's participating in the OSWAs can vote for whatever they want to, whatever. So you get hundreds, if not thousands, of nominations. And this is in the pecking order once it's all been analysed and stacked up. And what a deserving winner, Kilkerran. And again, this is a distillery at Glengyle set up by the Springbank team and immediately showing experience. When distillers have generations of experience in what they do, they know what they are doing to start with. They know how things are going to work and perhaps not work. And it's interesting that not many people will be aware that the stills at Glengyle Distillery producing Kilkerran whiskey actually came from an old distillery called Ben Weavis, which was quite famous for being an unpopular collectible. It wasn't a good whiskey. And when Springbank bought these stills secondhand, they modified them. They actually changed the shape of the stills to get the proportionality right. And they transformed from an ugly duckling to a beautiful swan. Again, a very small distillery, very hard for us to find. Hey, I can't even buy the stuff now. I've only managed recently, after many inquiries, to track down one bottle, which I might be reviewing before the end of the year. But it's a fantastic whiskey. I look forward to seeing more of it and more availability. But to conclude, these whiskies, even when they're not available, they act as a lodestone, a benchmark for all the new distilleries globally. If you're a small distillery and you're making your product and putting it out there, it's not the traditional marketing models you want to connect with. It's the onliners. There are your first port of call experts, because you can't beat experience. And so many whiskey buyers now have years of considerable experience tasting a range of whiskies which many people in the whiskey industry don't actually have access to.
And the other thing about connecting with that community as well, through the chat, through the people that you're hanging out with and leaving comments with and interacting with as well, you're able to tap into a much wider, vaster pool of knowledge as well. And it's fascinating stuff. Ralfy, let's pull up our second category, shall we?
Shall we? Indeed.
Hey everybody, Mark here from Whiskey Whistle. Thanks for checking out the Online Scotch Whisky Awards. Huge 2 thumbs up to both Ralfy and Roy, the creators of these awards. Also to all the contributors who helped out to get all of this done. And most of all, to all of you who voted. Awesome job, and thanks a lot, and enjoy this show. I can't wait.
What's up, whiskey people? It's Keith from the Malted Man Cave. Just want to say thank you to everybody who voted, and just say what an honor it is to be part of the inaugural Online Scotch Whisky Award, put on by 2 of the biggest legends in whiskey tube. So cheers to you, Roy and Ralfy. I have a feeling that this is going to explode and be a big thing for years to come. So cheers to you guys, and cheers to all you malt mates and whiskey folk.
Fantastic. Now we move on to the next category, which was Best Blended Scotch or Blended Malt. Now, I know there's a lot of people that's come back and said these should not be in the same category, but hear me out. For the first year, we needed to keep things fairly simple. It was going to be quite easy for us to get run away and have far too many categories. And for the first year, and for the purposes of what we wanted to achieve, we had to keep it quite compact. So blended malt and blended Scotch ended up in the same category. But we also had a suspicion that our community would not be embracing or particularly invested in blended Scotch whisky. That is a shame. But there are reasons for that, and that will play out as you see the course of what we present with you tonight. Blended whisky is a flat category. It's not particularly exciting or growing. It remains a huge, huge part of Scotch whisky production. It is the global product, and it has carved a furrow for every other whisky to follow, including our beloved single malts. However, the excitement today in 2021 is about natural products. It's about definition. It's about flavour. It's not about making as much whisky as cheaply as possible. For us, as the Scotch whisky enthusiasts who's brought the Online Scotch Whisky Awards. Anyway, with the blended category in mind and that reasoning in mind for us having this category set up the way it is, let's share with you who's going to announce the nominations and the winner. I'm going to reach out to somebody, just like Moa, somebody who's displaced from home, somebody from the States, but she's broadcasting her content from Mexico. I'm going to reach out to Whiskey Centra's Sheila. Welcome, Sheila. Always wonderful to see you. Always good to have you in here. Thank you for waiting in the background. Thank you.
No worries, no worries.
You have in your possession, I hope, the red envelope in order to reveal the best blended, either best blended malt or best blended Scotch whisky.
Yes.
Sheila, at your own pace and when you're ready, please.
Okay.
The nomination.
All right, I'm so excited. Okay, the nominations for the 2021 Online Scotch Whisky Awards in the category of Best Blended Scotch or Blended Malt are as follows: Compass Box Flaming Heart, Compass Box Spice Tree, Compass Box The Peat Monster, Cutty Sark Prohibition, Douglas Lane Scallywag, and Johnny Walker Green Label. Okay. Ooh.
Let us know.
Oh dear, oh dear. And the winner is... Oh, I'm having a little trouble with this envelope. Oh, Johnny Walker Green Label. Wow.
Johnny Walker Green Label. I feel like we should have kind of party poppers or fireworks or some kind of animation here or something. But I'm going to suggest to you that I am 50% surprised and 50% not surprised. I hope I'm making sense there.
I feel the same way. I'm like, I can see its place for sure. It has a place on my shelf, and also it was up against some crazy competition. So yeah, 50% surprised and 50% not surprised.
Yeah, I mean, I think that if you look at Johnny Walker's range, and if you look at us as a community, the people who are active in this whole project, it makes sense that we would be reaching for the blended malt or one of the blended malts from their blended Scotch range, right?
Yeah.
And this, honestly, for a 15-year-old, we have to remember the age statement on this. In the UK, I can pick this up for £30 to £35 on offer. It's usually somewhere between 30 and 40.
Yeah.
For a 15-year-old all malt whiskey. Now, okay, it's at 43% ABV.
Yeah.
We do. There's nothing about natural presentation here, so of course, it's going to be chill filtered and coloured somewhat, but when we're talking about something that's good value, when you don't have the anxiety of just sitting back, sharing it and drinking it, enjoying it, Johnny Walker Green Label has been a huge success, I think, for Diageo. Do you have it on hand, Sheila?
Yeah. It's actually, it's my right-hand man, I guess, but it's right here. Yeah, and I think it's also great because this is available. So I think, for a 15-year-old blended malt, that's also pretty affordable. It's awesome for people to be able to try those things, like you said, without anxiety that they're maybe spending too much, and it's available most places. So
perfect.
Yeah.
Listen, Sheila over at Whiskey Central, I love having you as part of our community. I love enjoying your content as well. I love what you bring. I love that you bring your journey. I love how I've said it many times. I love how impassioned you are and how studious you are about the whole thing. It's great to have you here. And I'm looking forward to getting you in a European time zone at some point in the future.
Soon. Soon.
But thank you for coming to us from your, I guess, your late morning.
Yes, it's 1 o'clock.
It's lunchtime now. Sheila, thank you so much for stepping up and sharing the good news with us. Thanks, Sheila. Cheers.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. Slanja.
Wonderful stuff. So there we go. Let's take you through and show you what the breakdown is. I'll bring in Ralfy for this. And I'll show you how Johnny Walker fared against its competitors in the nominations. Let's have a wee look at this, Ralfy. There is a huge no vote element to this here. Can you see that?
Very much so.
So what we're seeing here is that the community that we are reaching, the community that we are connecting with, this is pretty massive, that a 34% no vote here. A third of the voters decided that they didn't have enough interest, experience, or investment in the blended category. That's, you and I were suspicious of that. But let's go through this, because I think there's going to be more interesting things to come out of the people's vote on this as well. In sixth place was Cutty Sark Prohibition. I wanted to see Cutty Sark do a wee bit better. I think that's a fantastic product there, 50% ABV, and it's a blended Scotch. It's not a blended malt, Cutty Sark Prohibition. I would have liked to have seen that, because I know that the enthusiasts have embraced that and are enjoying it. In fifth place, we've got quite an expensive product from Compass Box, a blended malt whiskey from Compass Box. The Flaming Heart is typically £120 plus, so it's a bit pricey. but it's connecting with enough people that it made the nominations and it made people vote for it too. In fourth place, Douglas Laing's Scallywag. Absolutely tremendous job done by Douglas Laing, bringing that whole remarkable regional malts range to us, giving us more available malt whiskies through that range. And I think they deserve to be here in the discussion. And here in fourth place, we've got another Compass Box blended malt here, but this time their take on the peated version, the Peat Monster. Loved by many, replaced often. Well done for third place. And in second place, within 1%, 1 or 2%, I think, of the vote of Johnnie Walker Green Label, another blended malt from Compass Box, their Spice Tree. Very, very successful malt, came in second place. What's remarkable here, Ralfy, 5 out of 6 blended malt, only one actual blend in here. Let's jump straight into the people's vote on this one, yes?
Sure, fire ahead.
Let me grab the people's vote for this. This is very interesting as well. I hope people are going to enjoy seeing under the hood on this one. 10th place, Scallywag. 9th, another Compass Box, this time a blended Scotch, not blended malt. It's been recently rebranded. I think it used to be Compass Box Great King Street Glasgow Blend, but this is the Glasgow blend from Compass Box. Number 8, another remarkable regional malt from Douglas Laing in the Big Peat. Huge fan base for Big Peat. Number 7, we actually have another blended Scotch here. Johnnie Walker's Black Label, again, one with an age statement on there, 12-year-old Black Label. You can see that this has been a gateway whiskey for so many people that comes into whiskey, and it's still doing a very good job at that out there. Good enough to be voted position number 7 in the People's Choice wildcard. Number 6 is yet another remarkable regional malt from Douglas Laing in the Timorous Beastie. This is their Highland expression, great value from it as well. I bought a couple of age statements of that and tore through it far too quickly. Very, very easy drinking blended malt. Number 5, one we don't talk about a lot, but it offers great value from Edrington. In the UK, it's only 40% ABV, but when we can pick it up at 20 to 25 pounds, certainly sub 30 pounds most of the time, nobody's going to quibble with it. It's a very easy drinking whiskey. Joint third, we have Johnnie Walker's Green Label. So that's reformation from that's the community backing us up on the nomination. But they've only placed it joint third here alongside another Douglas Laing's remarkable regional malts in the shape of the Rock Island that uses Western Highland malts mixed with a little Isla in there as well to bring a peaty Western Highland style in the Rock Island, once upon a time known as Rock Oyster, since rebranded. In second place, the exact same as the voting. The wild card has put Compass Box Spice Tree in second place. So what's the winner here? What gets the number 1 blended spot from the community? Monkey Shoulder, Grant's Monkey Shoulder. Actually, arguably responsible for bringing blended malt as a concept to the masses right across the world.
Yeah.
Amazing stuff, always great value, loved by many, and a gateway whiskey for so many as well. What do you think, Ralfy? There's only 2 blends being put forward here. Only 2 blended Scotch whiskies. The rest are malts. Is that not quite interesting?
It is fascinating because it really reflects how the proactive whiskey customer, in educating their palate and gaining experience, gravitates towards either single malt or, if the quality is there, blended malts. So there is this promiscuity, so to speak, for a blend of single malts put together if they have the quality. And people will invest in them, people will buy them. It surprised me to see Monkey Shoulder there. But it's consistently decent and a very good example of a widely available, very affordable, entry-level, wet your whistle sipper.
Absolutely. And that's the thing, is that even as Scotch whisky enthusiasts, even as people that are going after more and more natural whiskies, higher ABVs and things, Occasionally, Ralfy, we just like to sit back with a big rocks glass, big chunk ice in it, and relax and not really think about the whiskey too much. And there are lots of whiskies out there to do that, but we would like them to be still nice and available and a good price. And I think Monkey Shoulder fulfills that very, very well. But it's also a very good sipper, and it's something that you can pour for somebody that might be quite surprised how easy it is to enjoy. It's been a huge success for Grants. A huge success.
As is Johnny Walker Green Label, rating very highly in the wild card, and of course the collective vote within the categories is for Johnny Walker Green Label, and I think the reason's quite simple: that its price, availability, and its general dependability. Now, I have to say, I remember, you'll hear this a few times from me being an old farty, but I remember in the good old days when you had it as pure malt, right?
Yes,
it gives you an idea. And there was some seriously good casks in that blend. But I think that it's a brand of Johnny Walker which is really surviving transition very successfully. And I think that Diageo are fully aware of the reach of Green Label in introducing people to their Singleton range, and as people transition and do their apprenticeship from blends, from your basic non-age statement branded single malts into something of more integrity. It's in the middle there and still widely respected by the community.
Absolutely.
Despite being chill filtered. But there we go.
If you think that that's interesting, we've got more interesting stuff to share with you. Ralfy, let's move on to our third category, my friend. Let's go.
Let's do it.
I'm proud to have played a small part in these inaugural Online Scotch Whisky Awards. Thank you to Ralfy and to Roy for making them a reality, and to everyone who's contributed and voted.
I'm Menno from Multimission. I'm very excited about the first ever OSWAs, so a massive thank you to everyone involved and everyone who helped make this happen. Thank you to everybody who voted, and good luck to all the nominees.
Hey guys, Tim from the Single Malt Review with a big thank you to everybody who supported the channel this year, and to everyone who did their part in keeping whiskey honest by voting in the OSWAs. Do we call them the OSWAs? We should call them the OSWAs. Alright, Mingus, let's get back on with the show.
Great stuff. Great stuff. Now we move on to something else that was a bit of a busy and certainly a wee bit confusing category. But look at this from the perspective, through the lens of us as malt whisky lovers, the online Scotch whisky community. So when we look to be a wee bit promiscuous, to go a wee bit outside of our comfort zone, let's say, we change lane a little bit and we go into to explore other grains outside of malt. We've got single grain in the Scotch category. Of course we have. But you don't have to go very far to see things made from corn, made from rye, made from wheat, made from various grains right across the planet. And it opens up the world of flavour to us. Now, it might be something that we can connect with, but even if not, it's something that reassures us that we're quite happy and we're doing a good job staying in our Scotch lane. But I think it's important to keep that open-minded element. That's why this category is here. What kind of other grains is the online Scotch whisky community connecting with? That's why that category is there. I'm going to reach out to my friend, my buddy from Kansas in the USA to come on and tell us what the nominations are and the winner. Scott from the Scotch Test Dummies.
Hello,
Welcome,
Roy.
Scott.
Hello, Ralfy.
Welcome, buddy. Let's bring in Ralfy as well.
Ralfy, hello. How are you?
Wonderfully well.
Good,
I'm
good.
Sitting here in the middle of a storm, thoroughly enjoying the show. I think Roy's doing a wonderful job there, by the way, because all I have to do is sit here and chat. He's the one with the buttons.
That's what Ralfy, all you have to do is turn up and look pretty. You're doing it very, very well. It's all working.
Well, at least I turned up.
As long as you got power and internet, we'll be good.
Don't tempt fate now.
That's right. That's right. That's why he's got the candle burning over his left shoulder there, Scott. He might need it a wee bit later.
Yeah.
Okay, buddy. Let's ask you specifically. You're almost back to full health now. You're doing well.
Yes. I'd put myself 98%. It's been a little bit over a year now with COVID. So long-term COVID effects here, but my smell is mostly back, still just barely hindered a little bit.
Listen, you did a lot of damage to the health of all your fans, your long-standing fans, when you took that hiatus last year.
Yeah.
And earlier this year. It's really good to see you guys back again. Love what you do, love what you bring as well. And
Thank you.
Great to have you supporting this. You, alongside Daniel Whittington, were the two first replies I had back. When I put this idea out there and I said, is this a good idea? Would you be up for joining? Yes, definitely. Yes, definitely. It's wonderfully reassuring when that happens. Thank you, buddy.
Yep. I mean, that's, I mean, that's not even an approximation or a guess. I mean, that's 100% yes. So
it's great to have you too, my friend. Listen, have you got a red envelope for us?
Yeah. And I think, Roy, I think you chose me, I realized, because you knew I would know how to pronounce all of these distilleries.
Well,
you said there's no way Scott can mess up these.
There's probably less Gaelic pronunciation in this category for sure. Listen, buddy, if I've given you, there wasn't a lot of thought went into that. I would have been happy for you on board to announce anything, but I think probably for this category, there's at least one in here that's very close to your heart, I think. So it's going to be interesting to see. Oh, we have a wee Boona, Scott's wee favourite Boona.
Yeah, I'm just squeezing in my favourite there overall. So
I always say after that visit to Boona Haven on Isla, your heart has been left behind there. You'll get back to retrieve it one day, my friend.
Definitely, definitely.
Scotty, go ahead.
All right, the nominations for the 2021 Online Scotch Whisky Awards in the category of Best Non-Malt or Grain Whiskey are as follows. Baines Cape Mountain Single Grain, Balcones True Blue Corn Whiskey, Compass Box Hedonism Blended Grain, Teeling Single Grain Irish Whiskey, Wild Turkey 101 Kentucky Bourbon, and Wild Turkey Rare Breed Kentucky Bourbon. 2 wild turkeys in there. Let's see what we got. And the winner is Wild Turkey Rare Breed. Great choice.
Boom. Now, I picked up on your comment there, 2 wild turkeys in there. I think probably the reason that I reached out to you when I was thinking about this category here, Scott, is as a Scotch lover, first and foremost, you've come into the bourbon scene, you're loving your bourbons. It seems to me that Wild Turkey is a good place to go if you're looking to transition from Scotch to bourbon. Would that be fair?
Yeah, definitely. I would agree with that statement for sure.
Were you surprised to see 2 wild turkeys in there?
Yeah, I was actually.
And which would you pick out your favorite out of the 2 of them?
I think I voted for not out of those, probably the Rare Breed. Definitely. Yeah, it's better than the 101. Of that category, my vote probably went to the Balcones, but Wild Turkey Rare Breed, great choice as well.
Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Mm-hmm. Listen, the Rare Breed for us in the UK is one of these higher proof bourbons that we can actually get our hands on from time to time. And let me tell you, it's not that expensive compared to a lot of them. I think we'd pay about £55. So Rare Breed is pretty good value for high proof bourbon for us. The Wild Turkey 101 is even better value than that as well at 50.5% ABV too.
Yeah.
So guess what my next bourbon purchase is going to be?
Yeah.
A Wild Turkey.
You know, and I'll tell you too, I've been out to some, restaurants here in the States and with limited whiskey choices, and Wild Turkey 101 has, I've had to call off of a menu a few times, for my drink because I just didn't have too many choices. But a lot of places, that's kind of a staple on their bar, and a lot of places will have the Wild Turkey 101, and you can't go wrong with it either. So both it and the Rare Breed are good choices.
So a deserved winner.
Yep.
Fantastic, Scott. Let me raise this wee glass to you, my friend, and wish you all the very best of health going forward. Keep bringing that content. Say hi to the big guy for us, to Bart back at home as well. And I'm hoping to see you very soon, my friend.
Yep.
Thanks for all your support, Scotty. Thank you.
Sláinte.
Sláinte va. Going to need to pour another wee dram. So let's have a quick look under the hood with Ralfy here. And we can have a wee look at just how much of the vote it took. Ralfy, I'll pull this in again as well so we can see.
Yeah.
Scotch whisky category, there's a huge no vote here again, the Scotch whisky community, sorry, because of this category being grain, it's non-malt whisky. So you can see here that 37.5% was a no vote here. So the integrity of who did vote is likely to be very high because people were utilising the ability to skip a category they weren't particularly invested, experienced in.
Yeah.
19% of the vote went to Wild Turkey Rare Breed. And in 6th place, we have a South African grain whisky, Baines Cape Mountain. And in 5th, we have Balcones True Blue Cast Strength. Then we have Teeling Single Grain. 3rd place, Compass Box, another Compass Box. This time a Scotch whisky, Scotch blended grain whisky coming up in 3rd place. And in 2nd place, wouldn't you know it, Wild Turkey 101. So Wild Turkey, this isn't a mistake or a coincidence or an outlier. It's here for a reason. If people are going away from malt, it seems to be available everywhere, even to us in the UK. It seems to be well priced, good quality, good engagement, and people are really loving it. I found that to be very, very interesting. Are we ready for a wee look under the hood to see what the people's choice?
Absolutely, go for it.
That's how the voting went. Let's have a look at the people's choice here. Now, again, this is asking people who don't normally drink this style of whiskey. They're probably quite happy drinking their malt. So this is going to be interesting. And in 10th place, we've got a Scotch whisky, Loch Lomond Single Grain. Now, this is 100% malted barley distilled through a column still. Very, very well priced, very spirit forward, a really different take on Scotch whisky. People seem to be enjoying this. This is all of these wild cards, you can literally pick any whisky and put it in there. So to see Loch Lomond there at number 10 and number 9 with their peated version of the same thing, exact same as the other one, just a peated version of the same, available, good price as well. Seventh place goes to another 2 relatively high proof bourbons. We've got Knob Creek's 9-year-old, which is a 50% ABV, 100 proof bourbon, and also what Scott and Bart in the Scotch Test Dummies have referred to the bottle of Wow over the years, that Elijah Craig barrel proof, still bringing fantastic engagement and fantastic value as well, a deserved 7th place for both of those. Then joint 4th for the next 3 whiskies, we've got a Scotch, an Irish, and another Kentucky bourbon. Again, Four Roses, another 100 proof bourbon. In there, it's doing fantastic things. I've got a bottle on the shelf and I'm loving it. Compass Box backs up that nomination that it got, backs up the numbers for the vote there. You can see that the people love Compass Box hedonism as well. Blended grain whiskey, probably responsible for defining that genre back 20 years ago when it was first launched. And a relatively recent newcomer and an Irish whiskey, Teeling's Single Grain. I believe that one is matured in wine casks. Deserved 4th place for all of those. 3rd place goes to another Kentucky Straight bourbon, this time one with an age statement on it, Eagle Rare, 10-year-old. Fantastic product as well, 45% ABV, 90 proof. And look at 2nd place. Our winner, the one that takes the plaudits tonight, gets 2nd place by the people's vote. Tells a tale. 1st place, can you guess, Ralfy?
Oh, it'd be, let me see, another Wild Turkey, perhaps.
Incredible. It's the exact same as the actual vote, but it's been flipped. Yeah. I think because of the value proposition that we get from the Wild Turkey 101, because that idea of availability and quality and price, it takes the plaudits from the community. Now, let me tell you that all of these people's choice wild cards, the granularity of the responses we got were huge. Trying to find any consensus in that huge pool of data of what people were drinking is difficult, but we've managed to put together another top 10 here of the best grain or non-malt whiskies. Fascinating stuff. I don't know how we're doing. I think we're maybe just 4 minutes over here. Let's see how we're doing on time. Aye, we're doing not too bad. Only 4 minutes behind schedule, Ralfy. That's not bad for us, right? Let's move on.
for
If
us,
you're
that's
ready.
not bad. Just one final comment on
Sure,
this
yes.
category, Roy. How cosmopolitan. How, we're really leaving Scotland. Scotland gets represented there, but the
Yes.
interpretation of grain whiskies becomes very much an international viewpoint of online whiskey fans. Delighted for Wild Turkey. I think Jimmy Russell and the team at that distillery are going to be well made up when they receive their certificate from us, directly addressed to them. And it's been remarkable to see the diversity of flavors within this category.
Yes.
Where they're coming from. This is the part of the globalization of smell and taste. We're seeing it distinctly in this category, and we'll be seeing more of it in the future across all categories.
I think so. And at first you look at it and you say, wow, this Wild Turkey having 2 spots in both. Well, it's backed up by people putting forward other high strength bourbons like Knob Creek's in there, Eagle Rare's in there as well, Four Roses is in there. You can see if you are a Scotch lover, if you're a malt drinker and you're thinking of exploring bourbon, these are a pretty good recommendation of places to go to start because they are being enjoyed by the community. Fantastic stuff, Ralfy. Okay, let's bring in our next little category, 4th category coming up.
Whiskey Jason here, hi, or as my German fans know me, Whiskey aus der Sicht eines Amerikaners. Thanks Roy, thanks Ralfy, and thanks to all the different people out there, 3,000 plus that voted, many people also from Germany. It was a pleasure to be there, and I'm really excited about the results.
Hello, I am Tito Whiskey from Argentina. Quiero agradecer a Ralfy y Roy por esta iniciativa de incluir a toda la comunidad whiskera en esta votación. Les deseo a todos mucha suerte y a disfrutarlo.
Congratulations to all of this year's winners, very well done, and kudos to Roy and Ralfy for putting this whole thing together. This is going to make waves. Cheers, guys.
Fantastic. So next up we have the 4th category, which is the best distillery. Now this is any singular distillery that's producing whiskey. So it didn't need to be Scotch whiskey, but of course because the community is well founded in Scotch, we expected that to get the lion's share of the nominations and the votes, and we'll see how that plays out going ahead. I'm now going to reach out to my friend down south from me, down close to Manchester. He's been doing content on YouTube for a long time now. He actually inherited a channel and has managed to keep that channel not only strong and alive, but he's done new and different things with it. He's got one of the best palates in the game, my personal opinion, but I'm going to welcome in my friend Phil Dwyer from Whiskey Wednesday. Phil, how are you?
I'm not central. There we go. How are we all? You good, Roy?
Very well, Phil. That's a nice backdrop you've got there. Are you in the shop?
I am, yeah. I mistakenly thought all this was happening yesterday. So I misread the date. So I was sat at my emails yesterday waiting for a link and going, wait, it's tomorrow. So I didn't leave. We didn't finish work till 7, so 10 minutes ago. So I'm just in the process of closing up, but I thought it's not as professional as the shoot, but we've still got a nice backdrop and the lighting's not bad here. It's better than my bedroom, so it's worth staying here.
Perfect. The most important thing is that you're here, buddy, and that you've got that wee red envelope in hand. Listen, well done with the channel, well done with Whiskey Wednesday. I know it must have been a hard gig all those years ago to step into Joe's shoes and inherit something that somebody else has built, but you've done not only a fantastic job, but a compelling job, and you are responsible for a lot of my whiskey epiphanies over the years, my friend, and I'm very grateful for it. Thank you.
No, I remember those Bunnahabhain and Lagavulin moments that we both had, and
yeah,
they were still not been beaten. Well, not quite.
And when it comes to you giving 9, 9.5, and 10 out of 10s for whiskey, I sit up and pay attention, Phil. Fantastic.
Well, there's a few more coming away.
Good man. Have you got an envelope in your hands?
I do.
Take it away, Phil. Fantastic.
The nominations for Best Whiskey Distillery are as follows: the Isle of Arran Distillery, the Bruichladdich Whiskey Distillery, the Bunnahabhain Distillery, the Deanston Distillery, the Glenallachie Distillery, and the Springbank Distillery.
It's like a who's who of distilleries. Fantastic.
Don't know what you seal these envelopes with, Roy, but they're particularly tough. There we go. And the winner is the Springbank Distillery.
Wow. Are you surprised, Phil?
Quite. I am quite surprised at that. I've been having a conversation all day with my colleagues about what would win and what order we'd place things in. Yep. And I did not expect that at all.
I think the reason you're not expecting it, I'm going to guess, is that the struggle that the community is having to get their hands on this precious liquid right now, right? How can you celebrate a whiskey that nobody can buy? Well, let me argue by saying that we need to celebrate their success, because they're successful for a very, very good and well-deserved reason, I believe, Phil, because they are bringing exactly what we've been asking for. You know, the Springbank are almost belligerent about it, you know, that natural presentation. Their pricing, certainly in the UK, once it gets beyond distribution channels, I can't comment outside of the UK, but in the UK, the pricing is always in check. And Phil, have you ever picked up a Springbank and not been drawn into the glass?
I always have, yeah. I mean, when we reviewed the 10 at this time last year, I was still blown away by how intense a 10-year-old can be. I didn't manage to get my hands on any of them this year, despite repeating pressing of the F5 button constantly on websites. I mean, they make amazing whiskey. I'm a huge Kilkerran advocate as well. Different distillery, same company.
Yeah.
Longrow as well is fantastic, and it always has been. I think the issues Springbank face aren't necessarily Springbank's issues in terms of being able to get hold of a bottle and whiskey hoarders and people buying cases at a time and things. They do make fabulous whiskey. I think that's the thing we should remember. Any of us that have been lucky enough to walk into a shop and pick up a 10 or a 12 or an 18 for retail and just go home and open it, it is quite a privileged thing. I'm working my way through a 10 and a Longrow Gold at the minute. Yeah, I suppose my own biases play a little bit in that, because it's not the one I voted for, and I think most people are kind of a little bit intense about that. But
well, that's okay. You can share, but before you go, you share what you voted for. We were interested.
So I nominated. I think my top nomination was actually Arden American, and then I voted for Aaron and Glenallachie.
Fantastic.
But yeah, I thought Aaron would have walked that. I'll be totally honest with you. I thought they were gonna. I thought that was a no question thing. I can't see the chat either, so I have no idea what people are saying.
I'll tell you what I'll do, Phil. I'll tell you what you'll do. The next thing I'm going to pull up here is I'm going to pull up Ralfy. You can stay in for this, and I'll share with you. I'll share with you how the voting was distributed here.
This will be quite interesting.
This is quite huge. Almost a third of the votes went to Springbank. This is a compelling victory here. Wow, right? We've got a no vote here of just 5.5%, so very high engagement. People really opinionated about this one. In sixth place, we have Deanston, another Renaissance mention here. Bunnahabhain, same for me. 12 years ago, Bunnahabhain was 40% and fairly pallid. Now I absolutely love this stuff. Same story for Deanston. Then we've got Brooklady, another story of Renaissance and transparency. Most of the products out there at 50% ABV plus, as much transparency as you can consume. Really one of these distilleries that helps you get your geek on. And then in third place, Glenallachie. And Phil, you might be quite pleased to see this huge blue chunk in the bottom right here. Aaron, exactly as you predicted, doing very, very well. But Springbank, that's quite a compelling margin there, I have to say. Quite a huge, huge margin. Phil, I'm going to raise this wee glass to you, my friend, for this continued success of that Wednesday drop of whiskey content. I always look out for it. It's a fantastic channel, Phil, and I wish you all the success for it in the future. Ralfy?
My hands are empty, unfortunately. I'm still cashing up a till. But thank you for the two of you.
Let me take two sips, one for myself and one for you. Sorry, Phil, go ahead.
Thank you so much, man. But yeah, I'll continue to watch as I'm doing it. I'm going to stay in work until it's all done and rounded up and whatnot. But yeah, quite a surprise. I'm intrigued to see what else is going to pull through in the ranks in these awards. But thank you both for having me. It's been a pleasure to take part in the inaugural one. And I'll continue to do what I do.
Thank you, Phil. Thank you, my friend.
See you guys.
Take care, buddy. Cheers. Wonderful stuff. Wouldn't it be nice if we had somebody from Springbank willing to step up and give us some comment on this? Well, we've not just got somebody.
We can only ask. We can only ask.
We have. Let me reach out to this. This is incredible. Look over here. Oh, this is absolutely wonderful to see. Fantastic. This is amazing that you would step up like this. So many of you. I'm going to keep all of you on screen here. Introduce yourself. I recognize your face. I do recognize it. Introduce yourself.
Yeah, well, David Allens, I'm the guy that heads up the sales and marketing things for Springbank, but, you know, not that we need any sort of excuse at all for a party at Springbank. Brought along a few of the crew, so just to go through everyone here, who everybody deserves to be here. Obviously, we've got Finlay Ross, our Director of Production.
Yes.
Who can't take credit actually for any of the whiskey we're actually trying right now. But in 10, 20 years' time, we'll get to Finlay. Grant, many of you will know from touring the UK sales manager for many years now, and with the company overall for 20 years, 22 years, so a familiar face. Craig, Neil and Mary are tour guides, and this is a big part of the experience at Springbank. When people come to visit us, people always remark at the quality of the experience they've had, and you know, these guys do an excellent job at that. So yeah, hats off to you guys. We've got Dave McCulkin, our label guy, hiding in the background there. And,
absolutely terrific.
Yeah, and Nathan, our kind of sort of digital media guy as well, who's not even got the laptop, and he's lost the web camera actually. So that's but by hook or by crook, we're here on force and having a wee dram to celebrate. So yeah, the award's very much appreciated. We were sort of talking earlier how much integrity there is to this award, and that's something that resonates with us very deeply at Springbank. So yeah, cheers guys.
Cheers. Fantastic, everybody. Really a heartfelt well done. I think, as you mentioned there, that laptop and webcam, that must be the only piece of computing equipment, as the joke goes, down at Springbank, right? It's nice to see Finlay there, it's nice to see Grant, and it's nice to put faces to names for everybody else. Listen, guys, we know the complaints that you must be having. We know how difficult it must be for you to field those complaints. But you also know people down there in Campbelltown who remember the 1980s, and nobody wanted to buy the product. You made decisions to change the way you made whiskey and marketed whiskey back then, and that's resonating through the industry over the last 3 decades. If people need a model to follow to how to succeed in selling whiskey, they only need to look down to Campbelltown. I think this is probably one of the most deserved awards that we'll have today. Well done, everybody. Cheers.
Well done.
Cheers.
Thank you for getting together and hanging out for us. That's amazing. Thank you. Ralfy, what have you got to say?
Well, I tell you what, at the moment, with all that Springbank crowd there, the pubs in Campbelltown must be half empty at the moment.
They'll be busy in a couple of hours, don't you worry.
Yes. No worries. Well done, guys.
Thanks. Cheers. Thanks again, guys. Cheers.
Congratulations, everyone. I look forward to seeing you all soon. Thank you.
Yes.
Ralfy, that's terrific. That's terrific. Just to see how much it means to the team,
yes.
How much it means to the people.
Absolutely. There's one thing I'd like to add just at this stage is that each and every nomination in the category of Best Distillery produce excellent whiskey. Simple as that. And that anybody out there who's just starting off in whiskey, if they want to get a point of reference to buy the best and bypass the rest, they only have to watch the OSWAs, which is condensing and presenting so articulately the thoughts, the sentiments, the experience and the integrity of all the whiskey family internationally who have such considerably, if I say so myself, good taste. And something else just to add as well, any distillery in the world, anywhere producing anything, if they want a working future-proof template for a business model. All they have to do is start online with Springbank's website and then pay Springbank a visit to do a bit of fact finding, take what they've learnt, go back to wherever they are in the world and just do exactly the same thing with their ingredients, their local terroir, their local community, and put that substance of integrity into their business. And they will significantly improve the odds, not just of their survival, but of their ongoing professional reputation.
Very passionately and succinctly put, Ralfy. Let's see what the people thought about this. This is the people's choice now. This is the community's choice for best distillery. In 10th place, on the Kildalton coast in Islay, Ardbeg. 9th place, that ugly duckling we talk about that's suddenly becoming a very handsome swan, Tobermory on Mull. In 8th place, Glenallachie. More stories. Every single distillery listed so far is a story of renaissance. 7, Edradar. More of the same. Once a forgotten distillery, once a wee tourist trap, transformed by the team up there at Edradar. They're bringing some of the most interesting whiskies. In a lot of ways, you can consider some of the things they do up there very similar to Springbank. Lots of people falling in love with Edradar these days. Joint 5th, Springbank's sibling Glengyle and Kilchoman over on Islay. We would have been shocked not to see these distilleries in this people's choice for top 10. Fantastic stuff both these distilleries are doing. Interestingly, both only came about 2004 for Kilkerran and 2005 for Kilchoman. Both new distilleries. Again, Kilkerran, another story of renaissance. 4, Bruichladdich, the same again. A distillery through natural presentation and transparency is winning over people right across the world. Some of the most dedicated whiskey fans are fans that love Bruichladdich. Joint 2nd, look at this. Arran are in 2nd, and that is no surprise. But suddenly we've got something that we did not expect to see in a people's choice for top 10. The distillery that everyone is talking about, Glen Scotia. Joint 2nd with Arran. Quite incredible. Can we guess who the people put at the top for their choice? Can we have a wee guess?
Give me a few minutes, Roy. Whoa.
Now, look at this.
Way ahead.
This is despite how much difficulty they are having getting their products out into the glasses of drinkers. And yet the people are standing up and saying, we're finding it difficult to pick anything beyond our beloved Springbank. That's a huge margin, given how granular the wildcards you can put in anything you wanted. You were not guided in any way, but that is huge. 110 individual people putting Springbank ahead of all the others. But this is a who's who of who's bringing fantastic product. That's what this list is.
Absolutely. And I think it's important, Roy, that we're really, really delighted for Springbank that, it hurts me to say this because I'm really struggling to get a bottle. I can't even buy Springbank anymore. Now, if Ralfy can't buy it, it's not available, period. But it's not available because the demand has surged and Springbank deserve it. So I'm not being I'm not spitting the dummy about it, Roy, because with Springbank at the front, you have these other distilleries providing fantastic options that are available. And there's new distilleries coming in that's just starting up. They're seeing the lie of the land. They're observing what is happening online, because online is where the accurate information is. And they're future-proofing their own business by sticking to and developing good cask policies from flavoursome, well-made spirit. And Springbank, if Springbank can do it, everybody can do it. It just needs time, patience, perseverance, and commitment. So I'm so delighted for Springbank. They deserve it. It's a shame that I can't buy their whiskey anymore. I'll have to visit the place and see if they've got any left in the distillery shop.
Don't have Ralfy breaking anyone's hearts out there. Ralfy, I'm sure, has got his wee stash of Springbank.
That's besides the point, Roy. You're not supposed to mention that.
Fantastic, buddy. Fantastic. Listen, if anybody doubts these figures, all of these numbers, everything that we will share with you tonight are completely unedited. They are the absolute facts. If I trust you enough for you to visit my house, anybody is welcome to come here and look behind the scenes and have a wee look at how we've put this thing together. This is a genuine reflection of not what is selling. This is a genuine reflection of what is being loved. Ralfy, let's move on to our fifth category.
Yeah.
Keep it going.
I really do think we're in the golden age of whiskey, and what's now really exciting is that us malt mates, us barflies, us whiskey lovers get to play a part in whiskey's future, get to play a part in which distilleries will be more successful. So it's really exciting. So thanks Roy, thanks Ralfy, and thank you all you people who voted. Good work. Beauty.
Hey guys, this is pretty exciting. Thank you to everybody who got involved. Pretty damn incredible of you. And well done, Ralfy and Roy, getting this thing off the ground. Good luck to everyone who has entered. It's hard to find a bad option on that list to vote for. Cheers.
And now, as we go to the fifth category, this is a category for Best Independent Bottler. Now, we know that this is an availability thing. There's going to be a lot of people that's not going to be able to engage easily with a lot of independent bottlings. There's only so many bottles a single cask can give up, right? Even small batches and things like that, they don't always see much in the way of distribution. But the concept of independent bottling is starting to get out there now, and especially for people who love malt and Scotch whisky, it's becoming something that is a clear development of their path. So once they've explored a lot of core ranges and things, they want to connect a wee bit deeper with distilleries that have come to love, and independent bottlers give them the ability to do that. In order to read out the nominations and our winner of Best Independent Bottler tonight, I'm going to go across the Irish Sea. I'm going to go across to a friend of mine who it's nice to have involved here because his heart is in Scotch whisky, despite being located in Ireland. He will potentially admit that, I hope. But it's nice to have somebody with a keen eye on Irish whisky as well. You probably know that I'm talking about my friend, the whisky novice, Jim Ingram. Good to have you, Jim.
Thank you, Roy, and thank you, Ralfy, for having me. And thank you for doing this. These awards, it's incredible. And just before I go any further, can I say a big congratulations to Springbank? I would have voted them for everything if I could.
Well, that's right. You are a Springbank fan. I can only imagine if you'd have been the one reading out that envelope, there might have been some tears gushing.
There might have been.
There might have been. Buddy, it's lovely to have you here. It's lovely to have you involved in this thing. It's lovely to have your trust. Have you got a wee red envelope in your possession?
I have indeed. And if you're ready, the nominations for the 2021 Online Scotch Whisky Awards in the category of Best Independent Bottler are as follows. Adelphi selection: Douglas Lang and Co., Gordon and MacPhail, North Star Spirits, Signatory Vintage, and the Scotch Malt Whisky Society.
Let us know, Jim, who takes the plaudits.
All good nominations.
Most voted for Best Independent Bottler.
And the winner is Signatory
Vintage. Now, this is interesting to me. This Signatory Vintage, incidentally, was one of the first independent bottlers that I ever connected with. It's quite amazing. So I think this has got a lot to do with the amount of years established, how widespread they are. I know that Signatory, you have the ability to buy this product in North America, for example. So it's going to have a lot to do with what people are connecting with. Jim, do you have much experience with Signatory? Do you have opinions there? Are you enjoying
I
the
actually
stuff?
have one of my favorites sitting right here.
Wow. And you had no idea what was in that envelope.
I had no idea whatsoever. And do you know, because I was actually going to say, I look at this North Star, and it's got Ralphie's face on it.
But Ralphie's North Star, fantastic.
Yeah, and this is the thing that, to me, if you're an Edward fan, then without even realizing it, you're a signatory fan. So, you know, they do know what they're doing. They do select good stuff, from what I can tell. I've had 3 or 4 of their offerings and enjoyed every one of them. So, you know, I'm very, very pleased for them. Fair play to them. It was for me, I'm surprised at that. I've been surprised by quite a few of the winners here this evening, but for me, I either wanted Signatory or North Star or Douglas Lang.
And I know you're a Douglas Lang fan as well. Well, let's see. Let's bring Ralfy back in here and let's see how these numbers break down. Let's see how the votes actually went. Now, you can see that there's a fair chunk of a no vote skip happening here. And that's because of some of the dynamics that I explained a wee bit earlier there. 27% of the people that were presented with this category decided to skip it and no vote. And that's understandable. But it's really quite interesting. And I hope that adds to the quality and integrity of who did make the choice to vote. So obviously Signatory Vintage taking the plaudits here. But number 6 position here, a Delphi selection. Delphi selection is probably the one that is probably the smallest scale. I think my opinion is that they would be much more select, I think, and not as quite widely distributed. I think that would have played a factor here. Number 5 would have been North Star. This is a relatively new producer. North Star are perhaps only on the scene for about 3 or 4 years. It's quite incredible the strides that they've made in such a short space of time. That's Ian Croucher and Kira and the team there, and they're doing fantastic things. If you were to see my collection here, you might be surprised just how many North Star bottlings are there. That entirely comes down to availability and me being close to it. Then we've got SMWS, and I think the reason that SMWS is down in this position here is because of the paywall. SMWS have the unfortunate situation where they need to be seen to be something else that somebody else doesn't, because they have a membership paywall in place here. There was a time that the prices were very, very keen and aggressive. And if you lived near a venue, an SMWS venue, a membership was a no-brainer. I think it's becoming more difficult for them in the modern landscape. In third place, Jim, we've got your Douglas Lang and Co. represented. Deservedly so, not just because of their single casks, not just because of their small batch releases, but also because of the wonderful things they've done with remarkable regional malts and things. And in second place, Gordon and MacPhail, one of the longest established independent bottlers. There's a glaring omission here. I think we're going to get to that in a wee second. What do you think of that, folks? Ralfy?
I think it's very interesting. Well done to Signatory. I buy some of their bottlings myself, and it's just worth making absolutely clear that Scotch whisky collectively seriously benefits from the presence of the independent bottlers, because as people develop their palates and wish to explore further the diversity of flavors available from a specific single malt. Perhaps if they've got a favorite single malt as an official bottling, they're looking for a permutation, a version, which they will find from the independent bottlers, which can give you a very different view of what a single malt can taste like, and actually the sheer diversity of flavors within one specific single malt distillery, depending on when it's made, depending on the casks used, and depending even where the casks being used are just sourced and when they're sourced.
Absolutely.
It's fascinating.
Absolutely. It is fascinating. And we all have to admit, guys, that the independent bottler of this category is very much a part of, because of the limited amount of bottles a hoggy, a barrel, or even a butt can yield. We are down to, it is going to be always a factor of availability. We're not speaking about any specific release, we're speaking about the company as a whole. Fantastic stuff. Jim, I'm going to raise a wee glass to you, my friend, over Northern Ireland. Lovely to have you, your canny nature, your pragmatism as part of this community. I love the content, I love the humour, I love the laid back nature, Jim Ingram. Thank you, my friend. Cheers to you.
Thank you, guys. Cheers.
Cheers, Jim.
Ralfy, let's have a wee look under the hood here, shall we?
Yeah.
Let's see what our public thought of this category.
Yes, the
Bring
wild fathers.
Absolutely. Let's see what they had to say about this. I find this fascinating. In 10th place, we have a tie between Single Cask Nation. This is an American owned. This is by the 3 J's, as I know them. That's Jason, Josh, and Jess. It's Single Cask Nation in the US, but they do have releases in the UK, and you can buy the product elsewhere as well. Tied with Gordon and MacPhail. I'm shocked to see Gordon and MacPhail down in 10th position. I think it's there's a few reasons for that. Gordon and MacPhail are going through a transition right now. Their Discovery series remains at 40%, that they're presented in the legacy of blends, let's say. However, their distillery labels and their Connoisseur's Choice is now at 46% ABV, and I predict that we will see that Gordon and MacPhail position climb in the future. James Eadie. Now, James Eadie is a blast from the past.
Sorry, are you?
Yeah. Go ahead, Ralfy.
Yeah, are you able to remove the wee banner at the bottom because it's masking out the independent bottler that's joint 10th with
Thank you for spotting that. Thank you. That meant that they had their logos obscured for a wee bit there. Let's have a look. There you go, Gordon MacPhail and Single Cask Nation.
Yeah.
And then James Eadie. Now, James Eadie is, as I said, it's a 20th century name that would have been related to blends back in the day, and it's been brought back to life by the grandchildren of the original James Eadie brand. And I think that's another story of Renaissance bringing out fantastic products, lots of small-scale individual releases. It's been very well received by a hungry, enthusiast community. Number 8, here we are, the one that we've just been talking about, relatively new company again, North Star Spirits, based in Glasgow, doing fantastic stuff, lots of people loving the outturns. Joint 6th, interesting here, Douglas Lang & Co. up there in joint 6th position for reasons that we've already discussed, a deserved place. But this Van Ways coming in from continental Europe with their ultimate range, fantastic to see that here. And if you talk about cosmopolitan here, this vote, the community, the internet does not recognize borders.
Mm-hmm.
So you can see suddenly something that we only very occasionally see here in the UK, Ralfy, but you see it regularly in the shelves in Europe, getting a mention because of what they've been able to achieve in the continent. Well done to them. Well done to Douglas Lang. Position 5, another surprise to me, Elixir Distillers. Now, we might not know who Elixir are, but we certainly know their Port Askeig releases. We know their Elements of Islay. And I think the reason that they're here is because of their Single Malts of Scotland releases. Position 4, SMWS, I think still good high position for them. One of the most best known independent bottlers, but hampered a little by the paywall membership issue. A lot of feedback we got from that from our community. It's just the way that they're structured. You have to approach it and consider your own perspective when you measure the value proposition there. Number 3, amazing. Another, a bottler that's been building and building and building in recent years. We once knew them as Morrison Mackay, recently rebranded, I believe, to Morrison Distillers. And their Carnmore series, they're also responsible for Mactala and Old Perth blended malts, bringing really fantastic stuff, and often it's some of the best value out there, and long may it continue. I think that's one of the reasons that they're being celebrated. Second place, interesting. Our first place, the one that's picked up the award tonight, the people have put them in second place. Ralfy, can we guess what the people think should be in number 1 here? We can.
I have my suspicions, Roy.
Well, let's have a wee look. Look at this. It's the first time we've mentioned them. The people have been very loud. You've forgotten Cadenheads. You've forgotten Cadenheads. What happened to Cadenheads? Yeah. I think, again, this is an issue of availability. That's purely why it never made it through the nominations process. But you can see through this People's Choice wildcard, Cadenheads has not been forgotten. That's close on double the votes of the second place. That's our community telling us we've made a wee mistake, Ralfy, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's okay.
I wouldn't call it a mistake. I would say it's just simply a difference of perspective, because Cadenhead produce a tremendous diversity of bottlings, and it's not just Scotch whisky. They bottle Irish whisky, they bottle some tremendous rums, they bottle some excellent Armagnacs, which is often underrated and overlooked. And when you walk into a Cadenhead's shop, the chances are you're going to see a permutation of a single malt that you've possibly never thought you were going to encounter, from perhaps a fairly obscure distillery. But I mean, I've got a little bit of sentimentality for Cadenheads, because I used to pop in to the shop down at the bottom of the Royal Mile in Edinburgh.
Yes.
When I was in basically for a wee sit and a chat, and they had the big blackboard up on the wall, and in the old days they had wee tombstones saying R.I.P. right, and any bottling they had from a distillery that had been mothballed, closed down, bulldozed, turned into flats or whatever, Cadenheads had these bottlings, and it was really fun to buy some of them, because you knew that you were buying into a little piece of bottled history.
That's right. That's the good old days. And I mean, imagine you'd been kicking yourself that you didn't buy a wee bit more of those. And 2020 hindsight has 2020 vision, right? It would be incredible to see that blackboard back in those days, for sure.
Yeah. Well, I bought a few, Roy. But the thing is that there's this idea, and just to address it, that the old days were better and that whiskey's not as good as it used to be. That's just not true. There's slight differences depending on the provenance and the age of the casks. But in the old days, you got some really rotten whiskies.
That's true. I think I keep saying, yes, there were amazing whiskies in the old days, and as the years tick by, guess what? It's maturing and it's becoming more and more legendary as the years tick by, of course. But I don't think we've ever had the variation, the spread of quality that we've got today. And for the malt enthusiast as a drinker, I think it's never been better. On that note, let's move into talking about New Horizons, our sixth category tonight. See what this reveals, Ralfy.
Well, it's that time, folks. It's OSWA result night. Big thanks to Ralfy. Big thanks to Roy. Magnificent effort, lads. What a great job you've done. I'm so humbled to have played a small, tiny part of this. So big congratulations, and I hope you have a great night. Cheers from the Whiskey Friends.
Congratulations to all the OSWA nominees, and may the best distillery and the best whiskey win, whoever that may be.
Hey everybody, Bill from the Whiskey Dictionary. I wanted to take a minute to thank everybody who helped make this inaugural year really awesome and run it as smoothly as it did. So everybody who took the time to vote, thank you so much. Roy and Ralfy, thank you guys for doing everything that you did to make this run the way it did. And I hope you all chose the right answers. So we'll see what happens. Bye.
Okay, somebody is trying to come in, but my lobby is full. I'm going to politely ask one of my green room participants to leave. I hope that's okay. I hope I haven't offended them. It's just because it's full and somebody's coming in, and I don't want to have any guests sitting out in the cold. I hope that's okay. This category is to talk about best new distillery. And this is something that's going to morph and be refined over time, this category. We're spoiled for choice right now. Can it continue? Can we keep having all of these new distilleries releasing product? It was really the only definition we made here is let's try and focus on something that's been released in the last year or so to define what we mean by new distillery. But as time goes forward, I think we have to work out how we define this category. However, Ralfy and I were very clear on this. This is about celebrating the new producers that come along and what kind of whiskey, what kind of engagement, what kind of ion quality they have got for us. So in order to present this category, I'm going to reach out to my friend who had a wee bit of, let's call it mothballed time on the channel, but he's back in full song now and he's doing a great job. We're going to reach out to Andy down at Maltbox. Andy, how are you, my friend? Oh my goodness.
Good evening, Roy. How are we doing? What a fantastic night.
So you've not only rushed back from holiday to be here to do this with us, buddy, but you've taken the time to put on a tux and a black tie, and it's amazing. And I joked that this was YouTube, that it wasn't really a black tie event, but I've also said that this is YouTube, and we interpret it any way we want, that kind of independent, do it the way we want. Wonderful to see the
Absolutely.
effort.
This is the Malt Box tuxedo, available in all good Primark stores. Yeah.
Top dollar stuff. Fantastic. Andy, thanks for rushing back from holiday to be part of this. Thanks for being involved from the beginning as well, my friend, and it's wonderful to have you on tonight. The channel is, of course, Malt Box. It was mothballed for a while, but it's back and it's running at full tilt again, and it's great to see, buddy. It really is.
Thank you. Good to
Did
be
you
back.
get a wee envelope waiting for you when you get back from your holiday? Oh,
I
I
did.
like the style.
Look at that.
I like the style.
Look at that. It's a bit warm. It's been in there a while.
Is this the kind of style that we can expect if we turn up and subscribe to the Malt Box channel, Andy?
Well, I do have a little secret, actually, because it's not exactly as it seems.
Oh, okay.
It's,
There it is. That's exactly.
Sorry, everyone. Sorry about that. You didn't need to see that, did you? Really?
That's terrific. That's how most of us are sitting. Let's just say I'm not going to stand up right now. Terrific, buddy. Let's see in the category, my friend, of best new distillery. Tell us what we have.
Fantastic. So the nominations for the 2021 OSWA for the category of best new distillery is as follows: Ardnamurchan Distillery, Kingsbarns Distillery, Lindores Abbey, Nichnean, Toravaig, and the only non-Scotch entrant over in Ireland, Waterford. So, as you can see, all sealed. I'm not cheated. Shall we see who has won? Let's have a look. I'm really excited. There's been so many new distilleries open. It's been fantastic.
Yes, absolutely.
It's an absolutely amazing time to be a lover of whiskey, and not just Scotch whiskey either. So, and the winner is Ardnamurchan Distillery. Fantastic stuff.
Fantastic stuff.
Fantastic. Great news. Well done, guys.
Have you had any chance to get your hands on a bottle of Ardnamurchan, Andy?
I have. I got my mitts on the first bottling that they released. It was brilliant. And then it obviously predictably got very popular. However, I know there's a couple of the newer releases that are sort of sticking around now, thankfully, because I think that initial clamour for it, the FOMO thing, kind of wore off a little bit. So now I've got my hands on the latest one as well, but I'm yet to try it. Really, really good quality spirit, even so young. And I think that's the thing with a lot of these new distilleries. The quality of the spirit is just outstanding.
It's amazing. It's amazing. I think Ardnamurchan have also been able to benefit from keeping it in cask for a wee bit longer and wait until it's closer to a 5-year-old to release it. I think they benefited out of that. Yes, you're absolutely right. It's nice to see you walking into a shop now, and there's not a lot of it. It's not everywhere, but you can now pick up a bottle of Ardnamurchan. A year ago, that was not possible. So that's interesting to see. And the price is remaining the same as well since the first release. Also encouraging, great stuff. Andy, I'm going to say a huge thank you to you. Thanks for participating. Thanks for the enthusiasm, rushing back from your holiday and getting dressed up.
Cheers, guys. No, thanks for the inclusion, and just might as well take the opportunity to say what a fantastic evening. It's a credit to you both and a credit to the wider whiskey community as well. Fantastic.
Yes. And your underwear's very classy.
Thanks. I wore that for you, actually, Ralfy. I thought you'd like that.
Oh, bless.
I tried to order a black bonnet, but it couldn't get here in time, unfortunately. So maybe next time.
I know a man in the Irish Sea that might be able to help you out with a nice bonnet.
Happy days. Happy days.
Andy,
great to see you guys.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you so much. Superb. Wonderful stuff. Ralfy, let's go through the breakdown. Let's see what the votes were for Ardnamurchan's victory here. Interesting stuff, I am sure. Huge no vote here, probably the biggest percentage of no vote. Makes perfect sense, doesn't it? Because these are new distilleries, not yet widely distributed. So let's take away that 42.6% of skips, of no votes here. Look at the margin. Ardnamurchan is beating the second place distillery by double, and that to me is fascinating, absolutely fascinating. Might be lots of reasons for that, but one of them is because they're making pretty nice whiskey. Regardless, let's see how the votes are coming in. Kingsbarns at number 6. Nicknean at number 5. Lindores Abbey at number 4. Torravik at number 3. And second place, Waterford in Ireland. Absolutely fascinating to see that makeup, that break. Now, I tell you, I'm really, really excited to see what the People's Choice, I'm excited to share what the People's Choice is going to be for this as well. It's all very interesting stuff. What would be the chances of somebody from Ardnamurchan Distillery being available to step forward and speak to the community about their success? Well, I'm very, very grateful to say that the chances of that are high. I'm going to reach out to Alex Bruce and welcome him in just now. Alex, congratulations.
Thank you. Absolutely just blown away by this. We can't believe it. And thank you so much, Roy and Ralfy, for putting this together. It's been an amazing ceremony.
Fantastic.
Look, you mentioned in your video just now that we waited a wee bit longer. We waited about just under 7 years before we released the first whiskey. And the problem that we had, of course, was we were in the middle of lockdown as the world just imploded last year.
Yes.
But it's been a fantastic and really fascinating journey in launching a brand virtually, if you like, online. And I think it's so appropriate that the success of the OSWAs tonight, the ceremony and the format, being an online format, I think it really is part of the new world, the new whiskey world we're living in. But no, we are really, really blown away by the vote, and I can even hold up the amazing certificate.
Fantastic. Listen, Alex, it's very well deserved. I had the luxury of a visit to Ardnamurchan quite recently, and it was nice to be able to taste the whiskies and see around the distillery all the things that we enjoy when we get to visit a site like that. What came across, I think, in the broadcast that we did, but certainly in the hours and the time that I spent there, was the investment of the people, the impassioned people there, the excitement, the fact that they loved what they were doing, and they loved the recognition and the way the whiskey was being received as well. Do I even need to ask you what you've got in your glass there, Alex?
I've actually got something which isn't yet available. This is currently sitting in tank in our warehouse just 2 miles from here, and is going to be bottled as the next batch just in time for Christmas. And it was great to hear the feedback that finally we have got some stock on the shelves. This was our biggest push this year, was to get beyond that initial, because you're always going to have an initial surge, if you like, but we got beyond that, and we're finally seeing it sitting on shelves. And that really was, for us as a team, that was what we wanted. And it's now a balancing act. We've got lots of markets we haven't even gone into yet, waiting behind the scenes, so we can gradually start pushing things beyond the markets we're in. So it's going to be really exciting.
Because my community is very much an international community, and I love it. It's a real pleasure. But I'm kind of stuck here because I'm like, yeah, let's get the Ardnamurchan out to the rest of the world, and then I'm also like, no, let's keep some here for us. So I appreciate fully the difficulty you've had, that balancing act, and it's nice to see that we're now at least able to be able to pick up Ardnamurchan from the shelf. And it's been a pleasure to do so. It's been fantastic liquid as well. Alex, I have to say that this is a deserved victory for everybody there. And I look forward to seeing what you bring to us in the future as well, my friend.
Well
Alex,
done,
thank
Alex.
you sorry, Ralfy, go ahead.
Yeah, well done, Alec, because yourself and the team at Ardnamurchan are absolutely getting it right. And it's interesting to note that you have a forward-looking policy, which you're quite public about sourcing biomass for energy and sustaining that. And that really is, you're at the forefront. It's not a big feature in distilling at the moment, but in a short space of time, it will become a more prominent feature, is the holistic, ethical nature of presenting quality spirits to the market. And you're ahead of the curve. I think this is partly your experience, your temperament, and also having just a fantastic collective business model, the right thing in the right place at the right time with the right people. Well done. The community spot that.
You make a
Ralfy,
great point about that. Cheers.
Sorry, Ralfy, those are great words. Thank you so much. Really means a lot to us.
Alex Bruce, to you and all of the team there, well done. Congratulations.
Slange.
Cheers. Slange.
Thank you, Alex. Thank you for joining us. All the very best, my friend. Cheers. Wonderful stuff. Ralfy, let's have a wee look under the hood at Best New Distillery. I think this could...
Time for a peekaboo.
I hope that people are getting a buzz out of this People's Choice wildcard, the way that you and I did as we crunched the data, right? Because it's wonderfully revealing. Again, this is not about sales. This is about enjoyment. Best New Distillery, People's Choice wildcard. In 10th place, Annandale, a distillery that we are very, very rarely spoken about, which is amazing considering how long they've been doing. And if you talk about Renaissance, it's an amazing story, a wonderful place to go and visit. I think they're struggling right now with a very high price for the product. It's 60% ABV. It doesn't know who it's supposed to be, who it's aimed at. It's aimed at an enthusiast, but the price is out of hand. I think in the future, once Annandale have got more and more mature stock under their belt and they bring products out that we can engage with, I think we're all going to start to talk about Annandale. Number 9, Wolfburn. I've been really impressed with a couple of Wolfburn bottles I've been buying recently. We forget that Wolfburn is a new distillery, but it is definitely one of the newer distilleries. And people out there are enjoying it enough for it to be mentioned in this top 10. It's getting more and more mature all the time, and it's interesting stuff too. Number 8, Cotswolds. Wonderful to see an English distillery in here. I thought this distillery was going to do a wee bit better. It has been very, very well received by the community. It's available widely and it's at a good price point. 8.
Yes.
7, Kingsbarns. Got a couple of Kingsbarns on the shelf, getting better and better all the time. One of the new Lowland distilleries doing fantastic things. Dream to Dram could be one of my whiskies of 2021. Really impressed by it. Number 6, Nicknean. Another story of putting sustainability at the forefront of what they're doing, to the point that they're even offering you a discount if you take the naked bottle without the tube packaging. Amazing stuff. Very, very good whiskey. People were complaining that it was available. It made me very upset in 2021. That was not a measure of the quality of the spirit. It was down to how much they were making available and pulling batches forward for release. In my opinion, they deserve to be in the top 10. Number 5, Torrevieque, the second distillery out in Skye, brought the first release out. People were blown away by it. People loved it. If you love your Islay malts and you love heavily peated styles and that young whiskey, you're going to be blown away by Torrevieque. And it's amazing that they've put layers of complexity behind that curtain of peat as well. Great stuff. Number 4, Lindores Abbey. Another one of the Lowland distilleries doing amazing things. I need to get up there and see it because I hear that it's a fantastic place to visit, as well as amazing liquid coming out as well. One of which, incidentally, is called Aquavitae. Number 3, Waterford, taking the number 3 spot. This is not the YouTube channel saying Waterford are making a compelling product here. This is the people stepping up now as well. Waterford deserves to be there in number 3. Second place. What's happening here? Ardnamurchan. Now, I want you to look at the margin here. 3 times bigger than third place Waterford. Ardnamurchan, that's a hammer blow, stamp of approval on what we've already put forward in the nominations, but something has beaten it. And this is our community. This is the way the people speak. Number 1 is Isle of Raasay. And let me tell you why I think why. The people want to remind us that we forgot. We could only put 6 nominations forward, and Raasay never made it to one of the 6. Raasay were in the live stream when we made the announcements, and they were very humble and made a very positive comment of congratulations to their peers. The people are connecting with Raasay, and the people are loving it to the point that they shouted loudly about it. This is an amazing tale of the community stepping up to remember those that might have been forgotten, similar to what happened in the independent bottler category, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's great to see Isle of Rassay getting a mention, because when it comes to provenance and the Scottishness of a location,
Wow,
you
yeah.
cannot. It is one of the most singularly beautiful parts of Scotland, the Isle of Rassay, and the way it's just sandwiched in there on the west coast. And I have got great expectations for the future of this little distillery. As you mentioned, that they were quite humble in their comments, but I think that they can be positive about putting their best foot forward over the next few years as their whiskey, as their identity continues to morph and develop in the casks and go out into the market. I really don't think they have got any problem whatsoever securing their future. And also in second place, Ardnamurchan. Now, I've been waxing a little bit lyrical to Alec when he was on, but they encompass the whole package. It's not just the brand. It's not just a kind of front of house marketing message. What you have here is the real deal. The more that a contemporary small distillery can just honestly, warts and all, without the icing sugar dusting of cosmetic marketing. It's not needed, Roy, because the internet will take care of the authenticity of the messaging if their message is delivered authentically.
Yes, absolutely. Make great whiskey, it'll take care of itself.
Absolutely.
We'll help it, won't we? We'll certainly help it. Fantastic. Okay, I think we're ready to move on to our next category. We are running a wee bit late, but not nearly as late as I imagined that we might. Let's see, the seventh category. Fantastic.
Hello everyone, Phil from Whiskey Wednesday here. Amazing feedback, amazing everything for these Online Scotch Whisky Awards. The inaugural awards, the first one, some of my prized possessions behind me. I hope some of these whiskies win awards tonight. Huge thanks to Roy and Ralfy for sorting all this out. But good luck in the voting. I hope your favourites win, and I will see you all soon.
Hey, this is Scott with the Scotch Test Dummies. Quick shout out to Roy and Ralfy for organizing and hosting the first ever Online Scotch Whisky Awards, or OSWA. And a shout out to the other YouTube collaborators that took part, nominating whiskeys as well. And thanks to everybody that participated, voting for their favorite whiskeys. Hopefully this is something we see grow year after year. Roy, Ralfy, back to you guys.
Fantastic, fantastic. Listen, there's only 2 categories left to go, so although we're going a wee bit later, we're a wee bit behind schedule, we're actually doing okay. Can I just mention there that if anybody is enjoying this, if anybody sees a value in what the information that we are sharing and this project and the way it's been brought about, leave a wee like, leave a wee thumbs up down below. It helps everybody that drops in to watch this in the future to see that it's a valuable thing to spend your time watching. Also, if you leave a comment underneath this video, any kind of feedback, any kind of questions, leave it in there. Ralfy and I, and perhaps the rest of the online Scotch whisky community, will respond to your comments. Fantastic. I hope you're enjoying it. Let's jump in as we talk about the best world whisky. Now, world whisky for us was anything that was non-Scotch. Scotch whisky community, we had to kind of try and identify what other styles of whisky from different areas we were engaging with that's not Scotch whisky. That's why this category is in here. It was open to anything and provided some really interesting results in the nominations. But just wait till you see the People's Choice. Fantastic stuff. In order to share with us what the nominations are and what the winner is, I'm going to reach out to somebody who I tongue-in-cheek call Mr. Consistent, but I genuinely mean that from my heart. Somebody who churns out content weekly, and he gives himself anxiety when he feels like he's not been able to deliver his weekly hit of whiskey content. He's been on the scene for a long time now, and he is still as consistent as he ever was. I'll reach out to my friend, Vin from No Nonsense Whiskey. How are you, sir? How are you doing? You're muted. You're muted. You're muted. Is it I've not muted you, have I? Yay!
How's that?
Now you're there. Now you're there. It just goes to show, it happens to me all the time. It doesn't matter how many years you do it, the audio gremlins will come up and cut you right. Fantastic. Yeah, good to see you, buddy. Good to have you here. Thank you for your patience. I know you've been waiting. I think we're running probably about 15 minutes behind, but we're doing okay. We're doing okay. How are you?
I am very well now that everyone can hear me. Thanks for having me on, and amazing work on this show, Roy and Ralfy. It's been a real pleasure to watch and a real pleasure to be involved in my own small way, and maybe just a slightly bit more way now, which is it's an awesome thing to see.
Fantastic. You've been enjoying yourself in the background, yes?
Absolutely, yeah. I'm drinking a Starwood here today, so I thought I may as well crack out some world whiskey of my own, and just having a brilliant time watching it, and I'm going to carry on watching it after I'm done here.
Love it, buddy. Thank you very, very much. Thank you, my friend. If you've got that wee envelope at hand, I see that you have. Let's not keep us waiting. Let's tell us what the situation is with the nominations here in category number 7.
Okay, so the nominations for the 2021 OSWAs for the category of Best World Whiskey are, and there's some good ones here as well, the Amrit Fusion Indian Single Malt, the Balcones Texas Single Malt, the Cotswolds English Single Malt, the Elijah Craig Barrel Proof, the Redbreast 15-year-old, and the Redbreast 21-year-old. Very exciting.
Quite 2 Redbreasts in there, 2 Irish single pot, still Irish, but quite a spread.
Yeah, a massive spread, and some really good stuff to see in there as well. Obviously, it's a massive category, so hard to boil down to just 6, I think. But yeah, some really good stuff. Shall I go straight in for the thing?
Please do, Vin. I'm going to pour one of my favourites in that little list while you do that.
I'm going for knifey on this one. And the winner is the Redbreast 15-year-old. Very exciting.
Wow.
Wonderful.
Redbreast 15.
Excellent whiskey.
Single pot still Irish whiskey. What a tremendous renaissance we've seen there. A category that was virtually extinct 30, 40 years ago. There was virtually none of it available. And now everybody's talking about it. Everybody's loving it. If we talk about renaissance in Scotch whiskey, we don't need a brighter beacon, I think, than single pot still Irish whiskey. Vin, I know you're familiar with a couple of single pot still Irish. Have you tried the Redbreast 15?
I have tried it. I haven't tried it on the channel yet, but it's something I'm getting to. I'm actually really massively understudied on Irish whiskey, and I've always been apologetic about that. It's just not something that's immediately available to me without extra effort. So I will make some extra effort to cover.
Don't you think, though, it's a symptom of the just this vast variation in choice that we have as whiskey enthusiasts today? I think what's interesting about this recommendation in there, though, is that if you are a Scotch whiskey lover and you're looking to expand your horizons, single pot still Irish whiskey is going to be a very interesting category for you. Vin, at No Nonsense Whiskey, I'm going to raise this wee glass to you, my friend, for your consistency, for your content over the years as well, and say thank you very much for your trust. Thank you for stepping on board. Thank you for being involved from the beginning and all your support on it. And thank you for making the time to hang out with us on a Saturday evening as too, my friend. Vin at No Nonsense Whiskey, all the very best with the channel going forward, my friend. Thanks for participating tonight. Cheers.
Cheers, both of you. Cheers, everyone.
Well, what I have in the glass is not a single pot still Irish. I've actually put in a Texas single malt, and my goodness, it's very distracting every time I put my face in it. Buddy, I'll see you soon, Vin. Thank you. Every time I put my face in the thing, I lose my concentration, so densely flavoured. Anyway, let's have a wee look at the votes here, Ralfy. Let's see how the votes were broken down on this world whiskey category. Going to be interesting to see again. This is the votes. This is the actual 6 nominations were put up, so people voted. You can see this is world whiskey, so we have a fairly high percentage of no votes, people feeling like they haven't explored the category enough or they weren't familiar with the nominations, so they were permitted to skip, no problem. 18.3% of the vote went to the winner, Redbreast 15-year-old, so this is a tighter victory here, so it's going to be interesting to see this. 6th place, Balcones, a Texas single malt. That's interesting to me because as in terms of worldwide distribution, it's fairly small. It's a relatively new sector, Texas whiskey, and we're talking about it. It's on the world whiskey map, and it's exciting. Redbreast, 21-year-old. I think the reason that's in 5th place is purely a factor of price, Ralfy. This is probably the most expensive whiskey in the OSWAs at close to £200 in the UK. In 4th place, an Indian whiskey, an Amrut Fusion. That's an example using Scotch malt, but made in India. Amrut Fusion, a 50% ABV release. I enjoyed my time with that bottle of whiskey. It deserves to be here, in my opinion. 3rd place, really deserves to be here. If anything, I think it could even deserve to be higher. Cotswolds, Odyssey Barley Single Malt English whiskey, doing amazing things, making the product available, keeping it natural, and keeping the price point aggressive. Love the stuff, recommend it to everyone. Thoroughly deserves to have a place here. And 2nd place is a high proof bourbon. Just tremendous stuff to see that spread. As Scotch whisky enthusiasts, we do like to be promiscuous from time to time, and it's nice that we're finding flavour in these other whiskies as well.
Yeah.
Quite amazing. Now,
it's very impressive, and you notice immediately the geographical diversity of world whiskey, of quality. It's not as if you've got a certain specific clump, say in the Northern Hemisphere. It's fascinating to see the demographics there, and well done for Amrut to be putting on a good show, because Indian whiskey is fascinating, and we really have only just begun to see the beginning of it. There's some really good Paul John bottlings. There's some other bottlings of authentic Indian whiskey that never left Indian shores yet.
Yeah.
But this is the globalization of whiskey culture, and well done to Redbreast, because the whole theme of traditional pot still Irish whiskey, it's got a totally authentic backstory that goes right back to the Napoleonic Wars and the malt tax, and so many new Irish distilleries are looking at Redbreast and they're asking themselves one question: how are we going to do it?
Well, let's see how this plays out in the people's vote. Let me, Ralfy, quickly throw a quick thank you out to Pernod Ricard for choosing not to even respond to us here. And can I just mention to Pernod Ricard that you're the 2nd biggest producer of Scotch malt whiskey in our country, and the only way that you're getting a mention here is through your releases of single pot still Irish. It would have been nice for you to engage with us a wee bit, but it's absolutely optional, and it's okay that you didn't. But thank you for saving us a wee bit of time so that we can catch up here and dig under the hood. Go ahead, Ralfy.
I can add that the award has been posted directly, and it's addressed to everyone, care of the manager, Middleton Distillery, County Cork, Ireland. We're sending the award where the award will be appreciated and where it's deserved. The distillery.
Forgive us a wee mini rant towards the end. Let's have a wee look under the hood at the People's Choice for Best World Whiskey.
It had to happen.
Absolutely. We're permitted a wee bit. People's Choice for Best World Whiskey. Okay. Coming in at, I might need to remove this. Oh no, you can just see that above the wee strap there. We have a 4-way tie, according to the wildcards from the community. And joint 8th position, we have Amrut Fusion, as you've just been talking about. We have another English malt whiskey, Bimber ex-bourbon cask, one of the more available bourbons, been embraced and loved by many. Wee bit pricey at £65. I have a bottle here though, and I do enjoy it. Hibiki Harmony, nice to see a Japanese whiskey making it into the mix there. We're starting to get on the cusp of seeing a future where Japanese whiskey can be a part of it again. They're starting to catch up. They need to keep an eye on price. They need to keep an eye on quality and availability. Of course they do, but it's nice to see them mentioned here. And another Redbreast, this time the entry-level Redbreast, 12-year-old at 40%. 7th place, another Redbreast, but the expensive 21-year-old. I don't have the 21-year-old. It's the only one I don't have. I am interested to try it, but I hear from people that love whiskey that this is a wonderful product to enjoy. Joint 5th, another Redbreast, and another Middleton product in the Yellow Spot 12-year-old. Both of these are a similar price band, Yellow Spot and Redbreast 15, but both single pot still Irish and both produced by Middleton Distillery with only 3 years difference in the age. Both fantastic whiskies. I love pouring the Yellow Spot for people who say they only love Scotch whisky. It's amazing to watch their reaction. 4, the Bottle of Wow, Elijah Craig Barrel Proof gets a mention, so this nomination has been backed up by the people here. This is a high proof bourbon that people are loving, and guess what? We love it because we've got a chance of getting a hold of it. Joint second, Cavalan Sherry Oak, a 46%, wide release from Cavalan, very good whiskey, typically about £65, so pricey but not pricey compared to other Cavalan releases, and enjoying success on the back of that, I believe. And look at this, Cotswolds. People are loving this English malt distillery because of the reasons that we've already talked about. Its availability, its quality, and its price point. Well done, Cotswolds. More power to you. Number 1, look at this. This is compelling, Ralfy. It's not made it into the nominations, but it's 3 times the second place. We must have forgotten to mention one of the best secrets in single pot still Irish, and that is Redbreast 12-year-old cask strength. Amazing.
Yeah. If I could add that it really is an absolute testimonial. The entire Redbreast range is an absolutely easy go-to for Scotch whisky drinkers putting their toes in the water of Irish whisky. And it is a testament to the practical skills of the Redbreast producers at Middleton Distillery. The quality of what they do is excellent, and it's great to see it properly recognized in terms of smell, in terms of flavor. And just briefly comment, if I may, on the Japanese hibiki. Is it hibiki, that one? I can't. Yeah, it's hibiki. I've got my glasses on, I still can't see. Yes. But it's great to see Japanese whiskey actually getting a mention in here, Roy, because I think Japanese whiskey has recently faced a significant challenge in the fact that it has now become far more public that they are bottling whiskey from Scotland, whiskey from Canada, just 2 examples, working examples, and calling it Japanese whiskey. And that's fine, so long as you're transparent about it. And so long as hibiki whiskey is actually authentically Japanese, then I will be showing some more interest in it.
Yes, it's nice to see that in the modern day of information that we're starting to see the language change from Japan. We're starting to see the JSLMA getting involved to try and define things. Still not perfect, but it's the right direction. Let's see what the future holds, especially now as Japanese whiskey starts to become a wee bit more available. Ralfy, let's move on to the final category tonight. We're doing okay, my friend. We're doing okay.
Yes, we're doing fine.
Welcome, worldwide whiskey watchers. I'm Jeff. This is the OSWAs, raising a big cheers to Roy, Ralfy, and the amazing contributors who've put this award ceremony together. Wishing you all the best of luck. And to that, cheers to you all.
Hi everybody, I'm Phil. I'm Deepa. And of course we're from Whiskey Mystery. Well, happy OSWAs everybody. And of course, good luck. Roy, Ralfy, thanks for everything. Anything you're excited to know about?
I'm looking for the People's Choice.
Oh, People's Choice. Yeah, I want to know the People's Choice as well. Because then, you know, there's nothing better than having everyone ignore what we were thinking and come up with something original. All right, good luck. Bye.
Here we are, Ralfy. We've almost made it. We've almost made it to the end. I can see, thank you for my request for likes. Thank you for my request for thumbs up. That came in amazing. There's so many of you hitting that thumbs up button, and it's really, really appreciated. Let's move on, because my guest who's going to present our final nomination has been waiting ever so patiently in the background. But I think that we're only running about 15 or 20 minutes, maybe not even that, over. So we're not doing too bad. let's reach out to, I mentioned earlier when I was speaking to Scotch Test Dummies, I sent out some messages to float this idea, Ralfy, when you and I were way back in springtime, chewing this concept over. And the two quickest responses I got back, the next time I picked up my phone, was from Scott from Scotch Test Dummies and from Daniel Whittington at the Whisky Tribe. Daniel, my friend, flat cap for Ralfy.
Yeah.
Very classy.
I know. I'm just trying to live up to the dream, man. Just trying to live up to the dream.
Absolutely.
Listen, Daniel, thank you for being so patient. Thank you for waiting in the background for so long. Have you enjoyed yourself back there? Has it been okay for you?
It has, yeah.
Good. We do have something that we need to confess, though, don't we? What is the problem? What is the fly in the ointment right at the last nomination? What's happening here?
Well, you mean about the envelopes?
Yes.
Yeah. I had to go make one.
Good, man. Yes. Daniel, I love it. Thank you so much. Thank you. So Daniel's out in Texas. The thing didn't arrive. Just Daniel, come on anyway if you're willing to spend the time. But you've actually gone ahead and done it. And now you're going to go through the motions and give it your full amateur dramatics as well.
Yeah. Are you ready for it?
Well, no, I'm not going to rush you. I'm going to ask you a question first since I've got you here, Daniel. Firstly, I'm going to say thank you for your confidence in us, for your trust in us, and for your enthusiasm with this thing. And also, I'm going to ask you, this thing that we talk about, this whiskey community, you and I could talk each other to death over it, I know.
Yeah.
Are we ever going to be bored of it? Are we ever going to tire of it? Or are we going to continue to be amazed by it?
How can you get tired of a good community?
Yeah.
I don't think that's possible, especially because this community seems to have transcended the internet. So I think it's cemented its place pretty permanently.
Yeah, that's a very good observation, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Very good observation. And big shout out to the Whisky Tribe and to what you guys do. I tell you what, people don't realize how much work is involved in all the editing, setting things up, and all the rest of it. And guys, you make me feel so old-fashioned. I just wedged myself into this rustic old bothy somewhere in the Irish Sea, set up the camera, press go, and just whatever happens, happens. And I think it's great that you guys, what you do there, you've really taken it on so much further. And
absolutely,
you're way ahead of the quality of what traditional media are even contemplating doing. And you're very entertaining about it. So good on you guys. Keep at it.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Forgive me. Congratulations. Well done. Forgive me, Daniel. I know that a blunt instrument of measuring somebody's success is subscribers, right? It's very, very brutal.
Yeah.
but indulge us here. Over the Vault and the Whisky Tribe, do you even know what your subscriber count is today?
I don't. I think it's like 300 and plus or something like that.
For each channel?
Yeah.
I think you're knocking
somewhere
on
around there.
800,000 subscribers over the two channels.
Oh, wow. Okay, yes.
Which only goes to show the scale of the community that we have out there. The future for whiskey is bright, and I think you are very much a part of it. I'm very glad to have you, Rex, all of the team, and everything that you do over the two channels. I'm very grateful to have you as part of our community.
I am grateful to be a part of this and a part of this entire community.
Let's get on with that wee red envelope, my friend.
All right. The nominations for the 2021 Online Scotch Whisky Awards in the category of Best Single Malt Whiskey are as follows: the Arran 10-year-old, the Glen Scotia Victoriana, the Glenallachie 10 cask strength, the Lafroig 10-year-old sherry cask at 48%, the Longrow 18-year-old, and the Talisker 18-year-old. And
I'm going to enjoy you feigning surprise here, my friend.
Yeah, well, I have a side note on this, but the winner is the Arran 10-year-old single malt.
Wow.
Wonderful.
Wow.
I'm pretty excited about that because that was I think my popular vote too.
Fantastic. I cannot tell you how emotional I get over people voting for something that we can buy, that's available everywhere, that represents a distillery that's been doing it right, and that marks their success not only in the entry-level category winner, doing very, very strongly right across the People's Choice, having an amazing representation in Best Distillery, running Springbank very close, you'll remember, but also at the end, being able to pick up the best Scotch single malt based on that value proposition of quality, availability, and price. Do you think it's a deserved winner, Daniel?
Yes, I do. And because over and over, I keep coming back to Aaron as just when I can't decide and I just want something nice, I'll walk over to the cabinet and Aaron ends up in my hand every time. But I will tell you a small little thing.
Good.
For both of you guys, Ralph, if I can get a mailing address for you, we'll get an email from you. But about 2 years ago, we got our hands on 1,000-liter tote of new make Aaron at our distillery here in Texas. And we immediately filled, I think it was around 14 different barrels with it. And as of about 2 weeks from now, we're going to release the first thing, and it is a 2-year-old Aaron that started in 5-gallon New Oak, and then at about 11 months was dumped into a full-size used bourbon cask and aged for another, it's almost 2 years old now. And it's glorious. And it just shows that no matter what you throw at that new make, it comes out just heads above everyone else.
So we're talking about a Texas matured Aaron malt.
Mm-hmm.
I can't wait. I genuinely can't wait. That's super interesting as a concept in itself. And it's nice to hear that you're enjoying it. Daniel, please stay with us while we have a wee look under the hood here, if you don't mind.
Absolutely.
Let's just have a look at how the vote split up here. I think this is quite interesting. So 10% of the people decided not to vote, but we had a very high interaction here. Aaron taking first place, of course, with 22% of the vote. Sixth place was taken up by that wonderful new attempt by Laphroaig. Bring us our Laphroaig Natural, please. Bring us at a higher ABV. Be true to what's actually made at the distillery. Not the official bottlings are becoming a wee bit difficult for me personally, in my opinion. Fifth place, the only one, by the way, in the nominations from Springbank's Distillery, the Longrow 18, the sublime, the classy, the funky Longrow 18, deservedly getting a mention. Then, this is amazing to me. Again, we're talking about Talisker, 18-year-old. Talisker, we talked about it in the 10-year-old earlier. We're talking about Talisker again. 45.8% ABV presentation from Diageo. Unfortunately, still chill filtered. Can you imagine how wonderful it would be if it was closer to the special releases we see that come out much more natural still? It's £75 in the UK. I don't know how much it costs where you are. Talisker is a wonderful malt whiskey. Second place goes to, again, another marker of renaissance. Glen Scotia, that ugly duckling distillery that was falling apart 15 years ago, is now being celebrated right across the whiskey world. It's fantastic to see people talking about Campbelltown in the sense of more than just a single distillery. It's wonderful to see Glen Scotia, Victoriana getting such a huge chunk of the vote. But there we see, that was third place. In second place, Glenallich's 10-year-old cask strength to send home that message of renaissance. What Billy Walker has been able to do with Inherited Spirit is, quite frankly, fantastic. Wonderful, wonderful stuff. Glenallichi 10-year-old cask strength ran Aaron a close second place by 1.1%. That's how close it was to taking the plaudits. But Aaron took it. Aaron managed it. Wouldn't it be wonderful if we had somebody from Aaron Distillery who was able to come in and celebrate their second success of the night? Andy Bell, very, very well done. I'll pull you up to the top here so people can see you better. Congratulations for the second time in the inaugural OSWAs, Andy. Well done.
Guys, I said I was surprised that we'd won the award for the entry level single malt with the 10-year-old, and I have to say that I'm gobsmacked and elated in equal measure that we've managed to take the award for the best single malt. It's fantastic, and I have to thank everybody so much for this. But listen, I'll give you a bit of insight from where I'm sitting. I've been with Aaron for the thick end of a decade, and I can honestly tell you we have never changed the ethos behind the way that we make our whiskey. And we're still a small company, just plugging away, doing what we do. But to win an award like this, in the way that this has been voted, it really is the ultimate vindication for the way that we've been going about our production efforts over the past piece. So it's a great accolade. So thank you for that to everyone, and we will continue to do things that way as time goes on. But honestly, this is such an insight into the way that people are enjoying their whiskey these days, and of course it's a positive for Aaron, but I genuinely think it's a positive for the industry as a whole to see this sort of result, and also for the other companies, and there are many of them who dedicate the same effort and care to craft and presenting their whiskey. So it's a positive all round, and yeah, it's what a pleasure. So thank you everyone once again on behalf of all the team at Aaron. It's a huge honour, and yeah, delighted.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, I'll say congratulations to you. I'll say congratulations, Andy, for all your successes, for your continued success going forward. I can't wait to see what Aaron brings out in the future. But the way you've spoken there, I think wraps up your entire company. The humility with which you've spoke, that sense of inclusion, the idea that you are not the only distillery out there, that you're very much part of a bigger picture, and that rising tide that rides all boats, as long as you are bringing good quality for people to engage with. We will not only just talk about it, we'll sing about it, especially if it's a tote that's been shipped over to Texas and matured in the Texas sunshine. That's going to be very, very interesting. Ralfy, have you got any comments to wrap up?
Well, to wrap up, well done, Aaron. Your model as a distillery, your ethos, it's not just a passing sentiment. It's one that is yielding tangible, definite results for you as a business. And it will continue to do so, because what the onliners have is a comprehensive overview of which direction things are going globally for the global spirits industry. And what you are doing, we are going to see more of and more demand for over the next 10 years and beyond. Well done.
Wonderful stuff.
No,
Daniel,
thank you.
Sorry, go ahead, Andy.
No, well, I was just going to say that something that rang with me there when Alex was speaking earlier on was he said the word journey, and that is absolutely what it's been for Aaron. It has been a journey, and there've been ups and downs, but yeah, it has been a journey, and it's such a good feeling with an award like this to know that there are so many people on the journey with us. That's what I wanted to convey to you.
Yeah.
Well done, buddy. Well done, buddy.
Sorry,
Daniel, I know you've got quite experience with Aaron now. You enjoy it, don't you?
Yeah. Yes. Thank you. Thank you for the chance to have such a glorious whiskey.
Listen, to both of you, thank you for your patience. Thank you for hanging out in the background. Thank you for watching from the green room. Thank you for your participation. But I'll raise a glass to Aaron, Lochranza Distillery. Can't wait to see what Lag brings out, buddy. I really can't.
Not long to wait. Not long to wait.
Not long to wait. Andy, congratulations. Congratulations to everybody.
Slange, thank you everyone so much.
Cheers to you. Cheers to you. Thank you. Daniel, thank you so much, my friend. Thank you for hanging out. I'm going to let you go back and look after that whiskey, and I'll let you enjoy the rest of your cigar in the background. Thanks for everything. Thanks for making an envelope in the absence of that one not arriving. when the actual one arrives, you can frame it and stick it up in your toilet somewhere. Okay, my friend?
Yeah.
Thank you, Daniel. Thank you so much. All the best, and all the best to Rex and the team. Cheers. Wonderful stuff, Ralfy. Let's have a wee final look under the hood at the People's Choice. Let's see how they were voting when they were given their wild card for this one. In I might need to move the banner for this one. It might be obscured a wee bit. No, it's okay. It just peaks above. Joint 10th place. We've got another entry from Aaron, but this time it's more at the premium end. They're 18-year-old. Look at the colour of that whiskey. That's natural colour. We've also got another very recently celebrated, another cask strength entry, a Glenallachie 10-year-old cask strength. We talked about it earlier. We saw how well it done in the voting, and it's amazing to see it being celebrated by the people. I suspect that if that was more available, this would have done even better than 10th place. Joint 8th, Lafroig 10 cask strength. This is not the one that was in the nominations. This is the annual release of the Lafroig 10 cask strength. If you're going to buy a single Lafroig, if you're just going to buy one as a whiskey enthusiast, I think this is the one to buy, and I think that that's why it's mirrored here. Number 8, another story of renaissance. I think it's one of the themes that we take away tonight. Glenturret 12 recently been taken over by Lalique. We were all a bit worried what would happen there, and it's not the best value in terms of price, but you need to sit with it and you need to engage, especially that 12-year-old, and judge it not on the 12-year-old entry point age statement as you might view it, but judge it based on how much money it costs you, and then consider what else you would do to get the same engagement at that price point. Very compelling story. Very grateful to see Glenturret 12 marked in this top 10. Number 7, look at this. I don't think there is a more talked about core release from Islay right now. The 10-year-old, naturally presented, all natural, 50% ABV Port Charlotte. Absolutely amazing whiskey. More and more people are in on the secret now. That whiskey is going to be even more of a success for Bruichladdich in the future, and it's well done for it being here. Here we see Springbank raising its head now. Position number 6 for its 15-year-old release. This is what the people are actually drinking and enjoying. Number 5, Arran 10. This is not just a product of the YouTube nominations and the public vote. This is the wildcard. People can put any whiskey they want in this wildcard entry, and Arran 10 takes a significant chunk of the vote and earns its well-deserved 5th place. Amazing. Amazing. Kilkerran 12. Now, we've seen it by a similar margin, beating Arran 10 in the People's Choice for the open entry level category earlier tonight, and we see it here again. Wonderful stuff. If we could buy it easily, it would do even better. Well done, Glengyle. Here we go. Another mention from that other distillery down there in Campbelltown, the one that everybody's suddenly talking about, Glen Scotia. True renaissance. This time, it's a 46% ABV release of their 15-year-old. I think the reason that people are celebrating this is because it's a good, well-priced, it's round about £50 in the UK. Now, that's great value for a 15-year-old single malt whiskey. For a single malt whiskey from Campbelltown, it's amazing. And I'm very glad to have it. And for it to be in the top 3 is amazing. Number 2, Springbank's 10-year-old, the entry-level product. Andy at Maltbox mentioned it. I think also Phil from Whiskey Wednesday mentioned it. The density of flavour that's packed into that whiskey for a 10-year-old product, and I fully agree with them. It deserves to be in 2nd place. Some would say that it deserves to be in number 1. So what has beaten it? What can beat Springbank's flagship 10-year-old product? Surely only its sibling, cask strength 12-year-old product. Only beats it by a nudge, again suffering probably from availability, but out of any whiskey that anybody could have placed for this wildcard vote, more people picked Springbank's 12-year-old cask strength than anything else. I think the takeaway from this, Ralfy Mitchell, is look at it, read it and weep. Out of the top 6 entries, it's all about Campbelltown. Springbank, Kilkerran, Glen Scotia, Springbank, only broken up by an Arran. Quite amazing.
Yeah, there's two things I would comment here, Roy. And first is that what we're looking at is a definitive who's who and what's what of affordable single malts, whether they're available or not available. But in a sense, the fact that the Springbank is not available, the Kilkerran is not available, well, we're delighted for the success that Springbank are getting and Glengyle are getting. We're really pleased for them because it's such a motivator for other distilleries. And look at Glen Scotia there. Glen Scotia is literally round the corner from Springbank. And I'm going to make a prediction, Roy, and that is that Glen Scotia's reputation is going to climb significantly over the next few years to put it on the same level as Springbank, because it's got a fantastic signature as a single malt. And I distinctly remember the time where nobody was visiting it, but everybody was talking about the blackened stills, and there was holes in the roof of the still house. And there was only a few members of staff who were doing their very, very best to try and hold it together, because the owners at the time simply didn't have the vision and the foresight and the competency to invest in the future. And Glengyle has a fabulous future. I'm just saying. And I must be getting something right, because...
Glen Scotia, right?
Sorry, what did I say?
Glengyle, it's fine.
Glen Scotia. Glen Scotia has absolutely has a very tangible future. Thanks for correcting me, Roy.
I'm sure that people knew you were talking about Glen Scotia in the context of what you were saying, but I agree fully. And I think what we see there now is a lot more attention being paid to the type of profile of whiskey that we enjoy as enthusiasts. And I think that there's much more steady hands at the helm there. We're seeing it coming through as little by little baby steps. I hope it's going to change in time.
Yeah. And to conclude, I would say that it's a huge endorsement for my personal decision making when I selected Arden 10-year-old to be my whiskey of the year for 2021.
You did.
I'm not pulling these out of thin air, Roy. I must be getting something right.
I'm not going to deny you. I told you so. You're absolutely right. You did indeed. I personally think the takeaway from there is that if you make good quality whiskey, Ralfy, if you make it available and if you price it, you don't need to make it cheap. You need to price it fairly. Bring us value and we will take it and we will run with it. Not only that, we will speak loudly. We will sing even its praises.
Yeah.
We will talk about it loudly. And I think that it's clear to me, the takeaways from tonight, this data is available for posterity. Everybody can come in and watch this. Is a snapshot in time of 2021. This is all about Renaissance with a focus on natural presentation, keeping it fair, and where we've seen things struggle a wee bit in the like Kilkerran and Cadenheads and certain releases, the only reason it struggled is that continued spectre of availability in the face of demand that Scotch malt whisky has never seen in the past.
Absolutely. Very good point, Roy. Things are changing so fast. The internet is a huge influence on this. When we talk about our conversation, all the malt mates who are watching the OSWAs, to everybody who's participated in the OSWAs, to all the recipients of OSWA's awards, to all the distilleries who've been nominated by the collective video channels and through the wildfire selection, the People's Choice. It is a very powerful message to investing in the future. And I think it's fantastic that there's many, many people out there, Roy, who are making their first tentative steps into discovering whiskey. They're looking at the bewildering array of choice in front of them, and they're trying to make some sort of sense of it all. And all they have to do is go online. They will find us, and we will keep them right. And we will help the quality of their journey be far more eventful, because they will spend more wisely for better results. And at the end of it, just have a better experience.
I think so. I think that's a good summary. I think I'd like to bring you back just to have a quick summary on this evening and how things have gone before we kill this stream tonight. But we've got one or two very, very small things left to do. I'll see you in a second.
Hi guys, Andy from Maltbox here. Just wanted to say the best of luck to all of the nominees in today's Online Scotch Whisky Awards. A massive thank you to Ralfy and Roy for putting this fantastic initiative together, and a huge thank you to all of you that have submitted your votes in this process. It just goes to show that the future of whisky is decided by the many, not the few.
From Malt Reviews, Mike and I would like to give a big thank you to both Roy and Ralfy for putting together the OSWA Awards. This allows everybody to be able to contribute so we can truly find the best values and the best buys in Scotch whiskey. And big thank you to all the people that voted to truly make this possible. Let's keep this thing going. Slaunch.
Fantastic, Ralfy. I think the couple of things that we've got to take care of tonight before we wrap up, I think, is our own personal thank yous.
Absolutely.
I'll let you lead the way.
Right. So I would like to extend a very personal thanks from Roy and myself to everybody who's watching, to all you malt mates, wherever you may be, whatever your circumstances and your situation. We're delighted that you're joining us on your whiskey journey. You're exploring, you're discovering, and you're enhancing your palate in a way which has never been doable historically until the internet appeared and has changed so much, and importantly, is continuing to change things. I'd also like to say a big thank you to our supporters who have been endorsing with their own support and encouragement, both Roy and myself, creating and coming up with the concept and developing the concept of the OSWAs. I think it has exceeded both Roy's expectations and my own expectations. And I think, importantly, any reservations and doubts that people have had, we are addressing them. And we will, next year's awards, we'll fine-tune them. We don't have to make drastic changes. We just have to fine-tune things a little. But we're delighted with the progress that we experienced here this evening, and in particular for the producers. To the producers, I hope you enjoy watching this. I hope you will watch this, because you have a lot of good quality, loyal customers who are waiting to buy your product. And all you have to do, wherever you are, whatever you're producing, all you have to do is look after smell, look after taste, and look after the integrity of the delivery of your product. We are waiting to buy it.
I'd like to step in with my thanks as well, Ralfy. I'm going to do it while I open and celebrate one of the bottles I've been saving for perhaps far too long. But I think it's an appropriate night to be opening it up. Good for you as well.
I'll tell you what, I'm sipping it. It's really, really nice, actually. It's coming along lovely. But the reason I've got this is because everybody and anybody can have it.
Yes.
Anybody, whatever you are, whatever you're into, rum, rye, bourbon, you can create your own singular living bottle, your Solera bottle, and it's yours. It's nobody else's. Nobody's bottled it for you. You did it yourself.
Infinities, your Soleras, I encourage it. It's great fun to do. Be patient with it. Even when you make a mistake, it comes back. Listen, my thanks go to, firstly, the people who funded this. Make no mistake, it's no brands, no producers or whatsoever. The people that support Ralfy and the people who support myself through Patreon funded this entire thing, start to finish. So every touch point, every contact point that you see, every broadcast, the website, everything was funded by you guys. That's incredible that that can exist in the modern day, but it does. And we're grateful. We're very grateful.
Absolutely.
I want to say thank you to the community out there, the people that stepped forward to help us in this thing for nothing. They wanted to get involved, so impassioned they were. A special shout out to Menno and Simon and James for their social handling. All the social media sharing that you saw on Instagram and on Twitter and on Facebook was not me, and it wasn't Ralfy. We couldn't do everything. They stepped up for absolutely no demands whatsoever to try and pitch in and help out. That's the measure of our community.
Yeah,
I want
we
to say a special thank you to the distilleries, to the producers, to the people out there that saw the value in what we were doing and stepped up to support it, and even turn up today to receive the awards if they were lucky enough to pick something up. I also want to say a huge thank you to the ethical retailers who stepped up, not only to support what we were doing, but to freeze pricing for the rest of 2021, whether it was a nomination, whether it was a winner, or whatever it was. They said they would freeze the pricing, part of their ethical retailing. If you want to know who they are, go to oswa.co.uk and you can have a list of places to buy your whiskey from. Right now, that's far too UK concentric. You need to talk to the retailers where you are. And if they are ethical retailers, we will add them to that list on the OSWA website, and it'll become a catalogue of places where you can go and buy your whiskey and know that you're buying from an ethical retailer. Sorry, Ralfy, you want to interject?
Yeah, I'd just like to briefly add, I think it's fantastic that a small number of principled retailers have subscribed to the OSWA website, oswa.co.uk. It's easy to remember, even easier to find. And if you go to these, to go to the list of retailers, you'll find that they're literally listed there. They are freezing their prices for the rest of the year. And this is no small issue. You know, they could raise their prices in the back of demand, but they are publicly endorsing the OSWAs. And I would ask you, particularly if in the UK, please buy from them. I will be.
I already have been, absolutely.
Yeah.
And finally, the biggest thank you goes to you, the whiskey community.
Yes.
You made this real. You made this a thing. Your participation, your support, your comments, even the people who were critical, it will help us refine this going forward. We were 24 YouTube channels this year. Next year, we'll find ways not just to include more people, but to expand our net outside of the YouTube environment as well. If you're impassioned about whiskey, if you like value and quality in your whiskey, if anything that we're doing in the OSWA speaks to you, go to the website. There's a page there under contributors where you can reach out to us. I'm going to raise this glass as a huge thank you to everyone.
And thank you, Roy, for having a microphone that's worked for the entire duration of the OSWA ceremony.
Well, that in itself is something to celebrate. Ralfy, as we close out, by the way, there's a wee Easter egg for anybody looking at the live chat here tonight, and there's a link at the bottom of the description box below if you want to have a wee look at that. Yeah, I won't say anything more, but there may be something of a wee after party. But Ralfy, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for hanging out, for being an amazing sidekick. I'll raise this wee glass and think, I think we did okay.
Yeah, Roy, we've done okay.
It's acceptable.
It is absolutely acceptable. Do you know what? Importantly, it's been fun.
Yes.
And
3 hours of fun.
Yeah, and it's going to be very interesting to see where this goes from here. Very interesting.
I agree, my friend.
Cheers.
Until next year.
Till next year, Roy, yeah?
Slàinte mhath, Ralfy. Thank you.
Slàinte mhath, malt mates.
Thank you, everyone. You're all dearly loved.
Great. So thanks, Roy. Thanks, Ralfy. And thank you to all of you who voted. Good work. So, cheers. Beauty. It's smoothie because it's morning here in New Zealand. The other side of the planet does this thing where it's nighttime, daytime where you are. So not quite whiskey time, but smoothie time.
Hey guys, Jeff from G Whiskey here. I just wanted to pop in really quickly and voice my support for the OSWAs. I think it's a great idea, and it's actually something that I was interested in joining. In fact, I emailed Roy a few days ago. I realized it might be a little bit late, and while you guys are here, why don't we check my email and see if it got back to me. Alright, so we've got a couple emails here. Let me just click these ones open, and here we are. Listen here, you little shit. I don't know why you bother to reach out to me. I don't give a flying f*** about you or your shitty little channel. In fact, why don't you take the biggest bottle of whiskey you own, shove it up your ass, then go drive off a cliff? Never talk to me again. Wait, sorry. Hold on. You know what? Sorry, that's my bad. That email was from my mother.